Wednesday edition of the program. How's everybody doing today?
Wonderful.
So, glorious sunny day. Glorious sunny day.
I stopped at the gas station this morning and grabbed my energy drink and told the guy out there, hey, enjoy the weather. He's like, how warm is it supposed to be? I go, it's supposed to be 90 this week. And he goes, yes.
Thank you.
And I was like,
Thank you. Oh, we haven't asked the great Will Ortner. Will Ortner in that seat over there.
What's up?
How do you feel about it going from rainy and cold to potentially 90 degrees on Friday?
Just means I have to be more on top of my shaving.
I don't know
I don't
what
understand.
region of your
Yeah.
body you're talking about.
My head, get your minds out of the gutter, you weirdos.
Well, I don't know if you're
That's
going...
why would I mention shaving like my armpits or something
No,
like that, or
I
my
was...
legs.
Well, you're a lineman, so I was thinking like back.
Yeah. I can only get so
like
low.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
go back, chest. I don't know if you ever... I had lineman not roommates of mine. I knew linemen who had roommates that would help shave their backs. It's like a weird lineman thing. Can't reach back there.
Well, it's not a
Gotta
weird
help me
alignment.
out,
You
bro.
can't reach back there. Honestly, just nair it.
I don't know. I
But you still gotta have a helper.
thankfully don't have back hair.
Well,
I'm happy to report.
I've
Don't
had like
have
a back hair,
Okay.
like
All right.
between the back and shoulder,
Sure.
little
Yeah.
pluck,
bastard.
little plunk.
So I didn't know if you were talking back hair. Top of head though is what you're going
Top
with?
of head.
Top of head. You don't mind the heat though?
Well, no, it's not. Well,
Right.
not anymore. I mean, I get cold now. Back when I was a big old lineman, heat sucked. But
Mm.
now I like it. But in the winter, when it's like rainy and stuff, I can wear my hood up. I don't have to shave as often. Now I have to shave a lot more because you can't have your hood up in the sun.
That's maybe to protect your dome from
Ah,
the
yes,
sun.
you're the 6'5", 250-pound man is awful small.
240.
Well, actually, he's very close to the sun though.
Oh.
He's closer to the sun.
true.
It's
the
warmer
rays.
up here.
Yeah.
Being taller, air's thinner, not as much oxygen to his brain, which kind of explains some things.
No, don't do that.
little
I'm
bit.
plenty fine. I got 2 degrees. Willie, 2 degrees.
Willie 2 degrees. Okay. Well, there we go. All right. Hey, we are partying on the YouTubes, youtube.com/1080am the fan. Go log in. Let's party on in the YouTube chats here. All right.
Indeed.
Anything else new with people out there? Party people?
No, I'm just relishing the sun, man.
I had an alarming conversation. We both had an alarming conversation with our fearless leader, Jeff Sacramento.
Indeed.
Jeff Austin.
Indeed.
Jeff Baton Rouge. Jeff Montpelier. Jeff Salem. Jeff Olympia. Jeff Boise.
There you go.
Jeff Albuquerque.
That one sounds good.
Yeah.
Jeff
Wait.
Albuquerque.
Is Santa Fe the capital of New Mexico, though?
Albuquerque.
It is? Okay. I was just making sure.
No?
I'm just making sure.
You might be right.
I think it's Santa Fe.
I think it's Santa Fe.
I think it's Santa Fe.
It is Santa Fe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff Santa Fe. Ooh, Jeff Santa Fe kind of sounds good too.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
F.A. Santa Fe?
Yeah. But we were having a conversation with him because the great Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
The great Tom Selleck is going the way of Florida State University.
They're both broke boys.
Where you would what? Wow. No, they're both very rich, but they need to be richer to hold on to their prized belongings, right?
Oh, well, nope. I just checked the most
Yeah.
reliable news source in existence, TMZ.
Okay.
Tom Selleck not at risk of losing his California
Okay,
ranch, and his finances are fine.
Yeah. All right. So this was the conversation we were having. Is that Tom Selleck did an interview. He had a little sit down, heart to heart interview there, from a beautiful ranch where it was discussed that he needs to have Blue Bloods picked up for its like 9 billionth season on television in order for him to keep his 60-acre ranch in California, which I'm assuming where Tom Selleck lives, having, that much land is very, 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 very expensive. But
I'm
we're-
currently sleuthing.
we're looking at 14 seasons of Blue Bloods, and the way it was framed was this guy needs to have Blue Bloods picked up in order for him to keep it, which seems alarming to me.
Oh yeah, no, he's got property that's 63 acres So if you go down I-5, you know,
Yeah.
and you come out of the Grapevine, and
Mhm,
you've got
mhm.
that all that land right there past Pyramid Lake before you get to Six Flags.
Okay. Yep.
There,
Oh. Yeah, I can see where that is very spendy. I bet the property taxes on that are pretty cheap. Yikes.
I was like, I just started looking. I'm like, Ventura County. I have a general idea where that's at. Where does that actually start and stop? And it's there.
Okay, so he has, according to Google, which is where I get my information from, he has a net worth of $45 million.
And the property, it says, it's worth
Yikes.
15 to 16 million.
That seems low for Tom Selleck. Like, I know that
It does seem low because you're thinking he's got Blue Bloods, which is currently airing
14
and,
Fine.
and in syndication.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Magnum PI.
Oh, buddy, it's not just fine. That show, it doesn't matter whether
And
where
it's a
you feel
Midwest
about it.
show. It's good.
No, it has nothing to do with the show. You're talking about 14 years, which is more
Right.
than half of your life. And
Whoa, that is.
it's
Oh my God,
I
that
believe that's a 20 episode a season show.
I bet
not
it's
a
more.
10.
I bet it's
Okay.
closer to 24.
But okay, so think about
yeah.
that.
Survey says 293 episodes.
right.
Yeah.
So there's a crap ton of years, crap ton of episodes,
Mhm.
and it's one of the most viewed shows on over the air. It's like
Well-
NCIS and that.
Wait,
because
so is this my new Star Wars? I've never seen an episode of Blue Bloods.
it's a good
in
little
my
show.
life.
It's a
I
good little
watched a
procedural.
couple. It's the
Never seen it.
it's the same as all the other ones, right? Like there's
Yeah.
a formula. It follows the formula.
yeah.
He's
There's
like
just-
the patriarch.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's more of
Okay.
a family show. With
Yeah.
like the cops as the backdrop.
Oh, okay.
It's him and Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg.
He's like the badass brother.
He plays like the remember the cop he played in, was it Saw?
Yeah.
Kind of that character.
Okay. Okay.
He was also Richard in Friends. Like he
Yeah,
should make
so
some good money
Oh
off
yeah,
that.
the residuals on that are going to
Well,
be nuts.
Magnum PI. Like he's in a
Hold on.
lot of like important things.
But here's where Tom Selleck, although we all know him
Mhm.
from being that guy, when you go to Tom Selleck's IMDb, you're like, yes, he has Blue Bloods, 14 seasons. Yes, he has 159 episodes of Magnum PI, which also syndication. He was only in 19 episodes of Friends
that seems low.
over, I think it was 2 seasons. Okay, but that is in syndication. He's getting a little back end on that. When you look at his movies, his known for on IMDb is Blue Bloods, Magnum PI, obviously, 3 Men and a Baby, and In and Out. Can't say I have heard of In and Out.
I've heard of the burger spot.
Yeah. Also, I did.
Well, I have heard. I should reframe that. I have heard of In and Out,
there you go.
the burger place. I have not heard of In and Out, the 1997 rom-com starring
year.
Kevin Kline. I have not seen that In and Out.
Well, he's in those stupid Stone Hallmark TV movies. He's like a cop.
But when you look back at it, I mean, you go down, like there's just like a lot of movies that you're like, yeah,
But here's the thing.
except for Mr. Baseball.
Well,
You saw
yes,
baseball.
Mr. Baseball, very good. There is reporting that he makes $200,000 an episode for Blue Bloods, which, if you do the math on that, that's $55 million pre-tax, which in California means it's probably about $22 million.
Okay, so let's go. Let's say
And that's just
he
for
started.
that and without residuals.
Okay, so he started. He probably started lower than $200,000 an episode.
I don't know on CBS, man.
But if you go like the last, we'll round to the last 10 years. I mean, that's a lot of cash. There's a lot of cash there. So I don't know. We might have to start a GoFundMe for Tom Selleck's ranch because he needs it.
It actually says he's reportedly been paid handsomely for his role upwards of $200,000 per episode.
All right.
So that means all
Yeah,
episodes.
All right.
I want to know what he's losing his money on.
Well, number one, California taxes and millionaire taxes. That's a big one. Property taxes in Ventura County, I'm sure, just swell too.
I'm guessing that he has that insurance policy on that mustache is probably pretty hefty
Yeah.
annually too. He's got to have that thing insured.
Well, not only that, I think he has I think he's licensed his mustache likeness, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
I think he has.
He's got an NIL deal for the
No
stash.
way.
Yeah.
No way.
I think he licensed it to be printed on shirts.
So if I have okay, I was like, if I grow a mustache and it looks too similar to Tom's, do I get a cease and desist?
You don't have that problem. Nobody has that except for I don't know what's his name. The Blue Jays. I think it's shortstop. Was it Scheffler? Something like that. He's got a Selleck-esque stash. Having a powerful mustache it's quite the flex, and I miss mine. I'm gonna grow mine back.
You want to look like a conquistador?
Oh, you know what? Somebody
I
else
no
just,
longer look like a conquistador. We need to change that legal ID.
somebody else just brought up a fun movie.
My pervert stash is gone.
Tom Selleck, Quigley Down Under.
Excuse me?
Quigley Down Under.
Another one. Never heard of.
Australian movie?
Yeah,
I haven't seen this one,
he-
just so you know.
I think he has an elephant gun that he uses to fight off some guys trying to take over. Like I think it was a ranch.
Wait,
It's been a really long
down
time
under
since
in Australia. Didn't
Yeah.
they get rid of all their guns in Australia?
This was before.
Yeah, this is
Oh, it was
this is
before
like
that.
ranching time.
It was before that happened. Okay.
That happened later.
Yeah, he hits a guy at like 1,000 yards with an elephant gun or something like that
Oh,
on
so
iron sights.
elephant gun's a sniper
Yeah.
rifle, huh? Damn, you got to be pretty special to
Pretty
do
fun. If I remember right, I think it was a ball load.
that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, Quigley Down Under. What year was that made? Do we have like a frame of reference here?
I want to say
Quigley?
late 80s, early 90s.
We're gonna go down that far. I think what? Oh yeah, 1990. Wow, you were right.
Yeah.
That would be made in the late 80s, released in the 90s.
There you go.
It's got a
6.9.
6.9
Which
rating.
totally, that's
Nice.
a totally doable movie.
Okay. It is wow. It is the 4,329th most popular movie. Which, when you think of all the movies that are out there,
Mhm.
that's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right. Well, I guess Quigley Down Under is a movie I'm gonna have to watch.
Oh my God! I just realized
Alan Rickman's in it.
Oh yeah, Alan
Hell
Rickman.
yeah.
But yeah,
Let's
Ben
go.
Mendelsohn is also in it, which means he was nobody then.
I have no idea.
He was somebody
soon
now?
As soon as you click Ben
Yeah, oh,
Mendelsohn,
there he
you will-
is.
Yes,
Yeah, I
you
got him.
will know immediately who he is.
I got him here. Yeah, I know who Ben Mendelsohn is. Okay. I know him from the Batman movies. Definitely not Star Wars, because I haven't seen that one yet.
Hmm.
Rogue One. Nope. No
Yeah,
idea.
He's the bad in that.
Okay,
yeah.
he's a bad guy in
Yeah.
that. All right.
He typically plays
he's
bad
a bad
guy,
guy.
yeah.
He's got bad guy
Yeah.
face.
Alan Rickman,
Yeah.
great bad guy.
Alan Rickman, phenomenal
Great
bad
bad
guy
guy.
in movies, but by all accounts,
Like the nicest guy.
rest in peace,
Yeah.
a wholesome,
Yeah.
sweet human being. Who knew?
Sheriff,
that makes me
Sheriff of
happy.
Nottingham.
That makes me
Was-
happy to know that Alan Rickman, like the people that you hate in movies, can be great people
Along the
because they never will be.
the
in my
Alan
mind.
Rickman line of like people you love to hate in movies.
Okay.
Going Harry Potter. Was it Dolores Umbridge? I
Oh.
have never hated a character more than that, and I hope she's like in
Yeah.
real life the nicest person ever. Her character, her voice, everything about her, viscerally made me angry the first time I watched that movie.
Yeah, she was awful.
Would you
She's an
say
awful
you took
person.
umbrage with her?
No, Will.
I'll golf clap. I'll give you. I'm gonna
I'm
golf
surprised he knew what Umbridge was.
clap. No,
I am an English major, sir.
Okay.
Well, are you?
Calm, it's the same.
Oh, there it is.
No, it's
Wow.
not.
I took
wow.
English
No,
101,
it is not.
102, and 103.
No, it is not.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
Just because you
is.
speak English in the class does not mean it's the same thing.
But no, I'm also writing. You learn a certain way to write and to talk so that you fit the AP style.
Okay.
It's the same.
All right, whatever. Yeah, and I've heard this one too. I always screw his name up or her name. Lazink on the YouTube chats there, youtube.com/1080am the fan. Syndication doesn't pay as well anymore because of streaming. That was part of the reason of the SAG strike. Yeah, I've heard that. It's not as lucrative. Like you used to hear about like the Friends cast making millions of dollars in syndication, but apparently it's not that lucrative because like when you watch all your shows on Netflix
Mhm.
or Hulu or Peacock or Max or Disney Plus or God, there's too many of them
Yeah.
now.
Maybe they should put them all together again and see what happens.
Oh, it's called cable television.
Mm.
Cable television. But when you stream those, they don't pay out like they do on the network TVs because they're not selling the ads. They're selling the subscriptions. which seems like there's money there.
Yeah, well, they're going. Don't know. They're going down that path,
Down what path?
adding commercials to all of the services. And it's like, well, what are we doing here then?
Yeah, television.
Yeah,
That's what they're doing. It's called TV.
reinventing cable.
But
Congratulations.
when does TV transition? Because here's the one thing that you do have in the streaming services that is a big bonus over TV. 30-second ads, right? Your ad break is only 30 seconds. You're not going 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes of the ad breaks. You're just going, boom, 30 seconds, we're back in the action again. A minute, you're back in the action again.
There's a lot of 90-second ads.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Paramount?
Nah, don't. That's the one I
Peacock
don't
does
have.
that too.
Peacock? Yeah.
Peacock does a big
Even
time.
if you have like
Yeah.
the highest tier, they're like, no, you're still gonna watch these ads. And it's
The
like, no, you
Hulu.
can go to hell.
What I do like about Peacock is that they'll give you like 2 minutes of ads before a movie, and they're like, okay, you can watch the whole movie now. Because there's the thing that grinds my gears
When you get into
is
something,
you're
and
getting
then
into the movie. It's like, oh nope, here's a commercial randomly.
Yeah.
I mean, at least TV they have it kind of figured out where they have a good place to chop it off. It's like sometimes they'll just be like, nope, we're gonna throw a commercial right in the middle of this. It's like, what are we doing here? And that right there on any social media platform, like the Facebook ads that'll go just right in the middle of a video you're watching. It is at the most inopportune time every single time.
And whatever it is that's being advertised, I will vow to never get it.
And you know what I will do? Yes, exactly.
And I will
what you
not
do.
continue watching your content.
I won't.
See ya.
Yeah, I'm out on the video, even though it is like the biggest cliffhanger of all time.
Don't care.
I'm out.
On principle, I'm out.
And I'm out on the product.
Mhm.
And there's got to be studies that have been done like, hey, these cutoff ads in the middle of these videos on social media, they're actually doing adverse
Yes.
effect
It's like
on
pop-ups.
what you're doing. Yeah.
Like nobody's ever been like, you know what? Great job, pop up. I want that.
Isn't the guy who invented pop-up ads, doesn't he regret his decision?
I don't know. I've never heard that.
I think he was like, it was
I can make
Mr.
him.
Pop-Up?
terrible idea.
Mr. Pop Up is his father.
Yeah, come on.
I apologize.
Gosh, it's just pop-up
Yeah.
guy. Mr. Pop-up.
Yeah.
It's my dad.
Mr. Pop Up sounds like a summer popsicle.
Yeah, it does. Little
Right.
push pop. Push pops were terrible, but it's a staple of your childhood.
It was a level of ice cream creaminess that was unlike anything other. It had like a sludge to it.
Doesn't melt.
Yeah.
Doesn't
right?
melt. Like you're just like, I don't know if this what is it, a paste?
Yeah.
It's a cold paste.
And the answer to
I'm
that was
eating?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But staples of childhood, the push pops are one of them because they didn't really taste that good. They couldn't have been good for us health wise. And then the wooden spoons, the orange cream sickle cups in the fudge sickle cups that had the orange spoon or the wooden spoon. Staple of the childhood. You don't like it? No.
That feeling of the wood on the tongue. God dang it.
SpongeBob Popsicle
Yeah.
is what you're looking for there. That's a staple of the childhood.
With the bubblegum eyes.
Hey,
Yup.
here's the thing about my childhood, Will. SpongeBob didn't exist.
Yeah, we had the Mickey Mouse one.
Yeah. Rocket Pops.
Yeah.
Choco Taco.
Speaking
What you
of-
know about a Choco Taco?
They're bringing
I
it
didn't
back.
have a Choco
Yeah,
Taco.
but they
Taco-
are back.
Taco-
They brought
Taco Bell. Wow.
they brought no Choco Taco was back in they brought him back to the ice cream trucks last summer.
Oh, I
too.
know, but
yeah, Taco
was
Bell's doing
Taco
it.
Bell and Salt and Straw are coming together with them.
That
Bring it back.
those are two brands that don't.
Don't mix.
No, it's like, hey, we're gonna go high end ice cream with low end Mexican food.
I want to see you transition out of this. Before
Yeah.
I walked in the studio, or when I walked back in, speaking of summer childhood things that I saw,
Okay.
there was a truck outside that, like a moving truck,
Okay.
that had the Death Row Records label on it. with a
Hell
phone
yeah.
number. Like, it was like, is that like a Death Row Records moving truck?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Just literally parked right out here. Just dipped out like right as I walked back in.
Dude. Well, I mean, wasn't Suge Knight in a prison in Oregon for a while?
I think so. Also, he tweeted about the Drake Kendrick beef, and everybody just responded with, "Aren't you in prison? They have Twitter in prison."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Suge Knight spent nearly 5 years in federal prison in Sheridan, Oregon. How about that?
Wonder why they sent him to Sheridan.
Well, I mean, probably getting him like,
Away from everything.
yeah. I mean,
Because
that's
Sheridan is in
kind
the
of
middle
like-
nowhere.
Compared to Los Angeles, that's Siberia.
Yeah.
Sending them to Oregon.
Yeah.
All right.
You're not wrong.
And that's how I transition out of it.
There you go.
How about
Oregon.
that?
Full circle.
All right. Should what we're seeing give hope to Rip City? Next on The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube.
That's one of the worst, easily.
That's not good. It's not
That
not good at all.
Feeling of the wood on the tongue.
Yep. That people don't forget. That one's gonna live forever. Hey, I got a question for all y'alls out there. Do the Oklahoma City Thunder and Minnesota Timberwolves give Rip City a little bit of hope? A little bit of hope. If we rewind and we go back in the Wayback Machine, if you go back to 2018-19 season, Minnesota Timberwolves were 36-46, which isn't terrible. But 19-20, they were 19-45. 20-21, they were 23-49. And now here they are with a 2-0 series lead and listen to this, a series win in the playoffs and a 2-0 series lead over the Denver Nuggets, the reigning champions of the NBA. And then you look back at what the Oklahoma City Thunder have been through. 2021, they were 22-50. 21-22, they were 24-58. Then 40-42 last year. And this year, they spring up to 57-25 and the number one seed in the Western Conference. Should that give Portland fans any hope at all?
Sure, because as much as you look at these teams and you look at how things have done, and OKC stacking all of these assets and all of these things coming together for them, Minnesota's the worst run sports franchise in professional sports history in North America, and it's not particularly close. It was this year that they just finally passed 40% all-time winning percentage. They were 39% coming into the season. They were, to be blunt, ass, like on a level that is unfathomable throughout the history of their franchise. Drafting one guy changed it. Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they didn't draft, but they traded for a guy that they projected to be an all-star. They did not. Anybody that's telling you that Sam Presti is smarter than everybody else in the room, they thought he had the potential to be an all-star caliber player. Not an MVP, not one of the 5 best players in the league. They're just so much smart. No.
It was not what the Clippers wanted or needed at that time on their roster.
No, they did not want to give up SGA, which is like they figured he was going to be a very good player.
But it got you Paul George.
Yes.
It got you Paul George. And I think here's the thing with both of these franchises that I think, sure, you can look at turning around and how they were able to do it. One thing that they were able to do was they got rid of not just good players, great players. Yeah. If you go back to 2017 for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they traded Lauri Markkanen, Zach LaVine, and Chris Dunn for Jimmy Butler to Chicago.
Which, little point on that one to give you an idea of how the Bulls saw that. They really loved Chris Dunn. He was number 5 pick in that draft.
Yikes. Providence?
And they saw him as the guy. That's who they wanted in that deal. LaVine was nice. Markkanen was nice.
Oh, Garpax.
Yeah. Dunn was the guy they thought that was their guy going forward.
Yikes.
So, and again, Markkanen was not, although he was a lottery pick, he was not seen as a guy, to kind of build with. And it took him 3 teams and years to kind of figure it out. And LaVine definitely got better, but he's also a guy, number 1, that's been injured and now not exactly a hot commodity around the league.
And I think one thing that both of these franchises have done, though, that was the kind of jumping off point for Minnesota, which they made. I don't know how many trades that they have made since that 7 years ago when it started with Markkanen, LaVine, and Dunn to get Jimmy Butler. They do have a new front office.
Sending out Wiggins.
Turnover too. But in the flurry of moves, they've acquired guys like Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, which they ended up sending to Utah, which got the Rudy Gobert. But they have made a flurry of changes in roster moves where you're sitting there and you're going, those 3 guys for one guy in Jimmy Butler has turned into essentially the roster that we're seeing right now. And they did tear it down. They got their guy in Ant Edwards, and Ant Edwards was far from a slam dunk his rookie year of being the guy that we all thought because of maturity issues, because of an incomplete game that everybody, as they're getting further and further away from the basket, remember, he is a guy that he's not perimeter oriented. He's not a deep shooter. He was a guy that's like, does he fit in the NBA right now? It turns out like he is the zig to everybody zagging towards perimeter-oriented basketball, and then you surround him with shooters with a competent front office. They have made so many moves to this roster, though, and it's like nobody in Minnesota got comfortable with anybody on that roster, and it kind of feels like that's where we're at with Portland in the past offseason we had here.
Yeah,
in the moves where Drew Holiday gone.
Yeah,
Malcolm Brogdon.
I would probably gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
We're not even going to know him.
And that's the thing is, I don't think the Blazers are married to anything right now until they get the guy. And remember, Cat was supposed to be the guy, and it turned out he's not the guy.
Yeah. And it takes a few years of sucking to get to that point, though.
And they stuck to it with Rudy after last year, where it was everybody killed him. I killed him. 5 draft picks for Rudy Gobert. Come on, man. 5 ones and Walker and Lowry. Like that's and Vanderbilt.
Not great, Bob.
Good God! I'm sorry, Lowry came over in the Mitchell deal. But you kind of wrap all of this together and you go, they stuck to it. They had a plan. They executed it, and they stayed with it. And it starts by getting the guy first. Everybody's like, well, I really like this guy. I really like this guy. None of it matters. Like, I hate to be that myopic about it. It does. In the NBA, you can't build a team without the guy.
Yeah.
As nice as OKC is and as deep as they are, they run because of Shea's rim pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're built on. His ability to get downhill, no matter what you put in front of him, and collapse a defense makes it so Chet Holmgren can attack from the weak side. So Jalen Williams can attack closeouts. So Lou Dort can sit in the corner and knock down threes. So Isaiah Joe can sit there and be one of the best three-point shooters in the entire NBA. They all have roles that they fit into that they sorted out over years, but it's because of the star. And you have to go get the young star.
And I think you look at Oklahoma City and what they were built on, the only thing that you can kind of look at and say tangentially you can point to Portland with is their hand was forced in the Paul George trade. Similar to Damian Lillard forcing his hand in the trade to Milwaukee. But what they've continually done, and this is more of the idea of what Portland is doing, is they didn't get the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, future star in that trade to Milwaukee. But what they did is Sam Presti has been hoarding draft picks. He has been acquiring assets slowly and surely. And this is where you go, all right, it's going to take several moves down the line. Mm-hmm. Portland may not be done dealing. And maybe that young star that they get back is for somebody that is on the roster right now. That's why I think, like, as we head into this offseason more and more in the playoffs, as they go deeper and deeper, you start hearing more and more teams who are saying things like, well, what Pat Riley said, he's got a fragile star. His other star needs to shut up.
Yeah.
And
that they're not entertaining the discussions about his extension yet.
More and more teams are feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to have movement. Is Cleveland, if they get unceremoniously dumped by the Boston Celtics, are they going to be a team that starts making moves this offseason, even though they have a good young core, right? And Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a name that you hear popping up all the time who could be on the move this offseason.
Which I'd be willing to bet he signs an extension and Cleveland stays.
Yeah, but I mean,
again,
we've heard everything from Orlando, Atlanta, Miami. Well, of course, Miami. Miami's like, everybody's going to come here. They're as insufferable as Laker fans are,
yes,
for God's sake.
Maybe
it's
worse.
Something about the sun that just bakes their brains. But what you're seeing is more and more teams in that unrest. Is Portland's roster going to be one that, I mean, Joe Cronin has always said, like, since he took over, we're open for business, right? Mm-hmm. And are we going to see, do you expect a flurry of moves like both of these teams that we're seeing with young rosters who are, for Minnesota, it's like 7 years into this.
Yeah.
For Oklahoma City, it's like 5 or 6 years into this. Are we going to see that sort of roster movement that really built what these two teams are now?
I think they are, and the people on the text line, there's folks saying, well, they also had their books in order. No, they didn't. And also the Blazers don't have any issues with their books.
Now their books are in order.
Well, that's the thing is, well, they've got, if they draft everybody and they keep everybody and they go into next year, they're in the first apron. Well, they're not drafting everybody. They're not keeping everybody. So why the hell are you freaking out? And stop listening to idiots that are trying to aggravate you over that stuff. If they get through the next 3 transaction cycles and they're at the apron, then you be worried about it. But there's nothing about where they are right now that you should be worried about.
Yeah.
Because they're not going into the season with this roster.
Yeah.
We all know that. You can't.
And that's why.
Let's go this way real quick.
Don't buy any Blazer jerseys is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, if you're somebody who's like, Jody Allen is cheap and she hates the team and she doesn't care, why on earth would she be in the first apron then? So if you're so like Blazer pilled that your brain is rotting and everything is bad and Jody's bad and Bert's bad and Joe's bad and Chauncey's bad, everything's bad and awful, why the hell would they spend money into the luxury tax and into the apron?
Great point, Bob.
I just have your freaking just wash the little bit of stupidity down with a little bit of medicine. Pick your lane of what you're going to be angry about.
Yeah.
Either they're too cheap and they don't spend money, or they're going to spend all this money and be in the apron coming next season.
I think other things that need to be noted here: Minnesota, Oklahoma City have hit in the draft.
Mhm.
They have gotten number 1 overall picks.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay. Even in drafts that weren't perceived to be strong drafts. Okay. And they stuck through those messy years knowing we got to trust this
Yeah.
for the long term. Even like, Presti has been in Oklahoma City forever.
Yeah, and he's a great GM, and he's been willing
He's-
to wheel and deal. He's also been willing to compromise kind of who he is to take on guys like Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah.
in transactions, which no other
Red flag city.
clubs aren't going to do that. And held on to Josh Giddey
And Connolly goes from Denver to Minnesota.
and builds a team to rival Denver.
And, that guy had pedigree going into that job, but they hit on draft picks. And that's kind of where everything is built. And that comes to this Sunday where the draft lottery is for Portland. It's pretty interesting, though. 503-864-6326 is the Vancouver Ford text line. We'll get to some of your feedback as the show goes on, but we got to talk about this Thunder team. Boy, woodshed time for the Mavericks. First is Big Well with SportsCenter. Mannix of Sports Illustrated with this little nuggy. Teams are monitoring Chauncey Billups' situation in Portland, league sources told SI Now. The Blazers are rebuilding and just parted ways with 2 assistants, including Billups' brother Rodney. If Billups-Portland split, Billups would quickly emerge as a candidate for other jobs.
The interesting thing here is that in the postseason or end of season exit interviews, Chauncey Billups mentioned that, he wanted to be a part of Winter, and he didn't come here to be, to coach what he's coached. But he has taken his lumps and his lot in life and coached the team that he's had in front of him. This team is not going to be a winner next year.
Nope.
And that's intentional because, as we just said, they need to get that guy. And we've talked about this so much. We talked about this, I think, last week. Nobody wants to be Brett Brown. Yes, there's only 30 of these jobs in the entire NBA. Still, nobody wants to be Brett Brown. Nobody wants to be that coach that loses 350, 400 games.
If you don't know Brett Brown, process Sixers head coach Brett Brown, who they said, we are going to stick right by him the entire way.
Brett Brown's coaching record is 221 and 344.
Yikes.
He has a winning percentage of 39. The same winning percentage as the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yikes. Franchise. As a franchise. Historically. Very bad.
So basically, he got his teeth kicked in for 4 years.
Yep.
Nobody wants that. Number one, it's not fun. It's like, oh, you should be happy to have one of those jobs. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and see how happy you are in a job where your job is to get your teeth kicked in.
It's miserable.
It's the fact that the locker room has been what it has been for the last couple of years has been a modern day miracle.
Yeah.
They have brought in great guys, the assistant coaches, Chauncey, the players. All of them have been very good about keeping morale high when they have plenty of reason to have it not be that way.
Yeah.
When you're losing 50-plus games a year.
Okay, what is the impetus of this strain in their relationship? Because even though Chauncey did say that, we also had these conversations of, look, they know the assignment moving forward. There was going to be kind of some loyalty back and forth between both sides of this, in that there was an understanding amongst the organization that Chauncey has done a really good job. Of those guys, they weren't good, but they played hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like reality. And Joe Cronin said it. The reality is our roster just isn't good enough right now. But they played hard for Chauncey Billups. That's a really tough thing to do, as you just said. And there was that understanding from the organization that this was not going to be an indictment of Chauncey moving forward, what has happened over the last 3 seasons. But as you look at the greater 2 seasons, the greater landscape of things here is, what side is frustrated? Is it Chauncey or is it the organization with the split? Because Mannix doesn't have that in there. It kind of seems like he's saying it's a split with the organization in Chauncey.
This sounds like the way Mannix has it phrased is, again, teams are monitoring Chauncey Billups' situation. Portland league sources told SI Now the Blazers were building and just parted ways with 2 assistants, including his brother. If Portland and Billups split, Billups will quickly emerge as a candidate for other jobs. And if you listen to that, if there's a split, I think the split would be Chauncey Billups being a lame duck coach, because coaches typically don't make it to that point. They either have an option picked up, an extension done, or they get fired. Terry Stotts was the last time that they had a lame duck coach, and that whole season was weird.
That was weird.
Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. The players don't like it. The coach doesn't like it. The front office doesn't like it. It's a dumb spot to be. I believe that was following the New Orleans series, because everybody was looking for change then and how it was going to go down. And Dame basically saved Terry's job. But I would look at this and say that Billups probably went to go get an extension or to get his option picked up, and the Blazers said no, because next year is a fork in the road. I think that's the reality of this.
No doubt about it.
Then I'm talking about not this season coming. I'm talking about after
26.
next summer, going into 25, 26.
Yeah.
Because this season is about sucking so that you can be in a running for an Ace Bailey, a Cooper Flagg, a franchise-changing guy. If the organization is going to want you to sell hope and for you to buy tickets and be interested, they're going to lose a lot of games. I have no issue with that. I think it's the right path for them to go down. Understand that going into this season. Like, get it out of your head of like, well, they said that they want to be competitive. Sure, they want to be competitive while losing 62 times. Like,
20 and 62.
I'm just saying, it wasn't that far off this year. But it's because of what they want to see at the end of that road, which is having a number one guy, which we just got done talking about. And if all of a sudden you have that number one guy and you have Scoot and you have Shaden, whether they move on from Ant or not, and you've got a core that you're working with, then you bring in a new coach. Because the tanking period is done. And the tanking coach never stays.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Especially the only one you can, drop air quotes on they stayed is Dagnall. But he stayed on a much shorter time period. And they also knew kind of what was going to come out of that with SGA.
He was a promoted assistant.
Yeah.
So there's big differences there. And
came up organizationally with their G League.
that is where you sit there and you look at this is all of a sudden becoming a far more important offseason for a variety of reasons, because the next coach has got to be the guy who sees you through that next year, which is going to be a brutal run. And then your prospect moving forward of fielding a competitive and actually good roster, not just competitive, but a good roster moving forward. A lot of movement gonna happen.
This
here
is
in Rip
this
City.
is a massive summer for Portland on so many levels. Oh, and by the way, the lottery's in 5 days. 4
That's
days.
right. That's right. Sunday, Mother's Day.
At noon.
Portland's good at winning those, I hear.
They did just win $1.3 billion.
That's right. We should send that guy.
Yeah.
We're on a hot streak.
I saw Hyken had the news yesterday that Scoot is going to be the rep for the
Blazers
Portland
put it
Trailblazers.
up.
And you're going to have, I think we should send the dude who won the 1.3 billion. That's what they need to do.
I bet you he can afford it.
It's a couple. It's like
Well, I know it's a guy, his wife, and one of their friends he
Yeah.
split the money with. But no, send the guy who bought the ticket, because
Ooh, there you go.
good juju.
Or did he use all of his juju up?
Nah, it's okay. Don't
that's
worry
not
about
how
that.
juju works.
Don't-
Well,
yeah,
they're-
that's
well,
not
they're
how-
You
say-
can't use all your juju
well,
up.
they're-
Don't be silly.
don't
To be
that.
fair, the Blazers are saving their Brandon Roy juju for next year.
Ooh, send Brandon Roy then. I like it.
Send Brandon Roy with lottery guy.
Yes.
All of their juju powers combined.
In like a stepbrother situation where
Then-
lottery guy's sitting behind Brandon Roy and he just kind of pops
Peeks
out
out.
and's like, I can help with this Cooper Flag situation here.
Mm.
This
Then we
Pam
get-
Pam situation.
Juju Watkins and Juju Smith-Schuster and send them also. More juju, the better.
All the jujus. All the jujus.
Maybe some juju bees.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, get those stuck in your teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most annoying candy.
Lock your teeth together like you're locking in that first overall pick.
So good. All right, 503-864-6326, Vancouver Ford text line. We roll on, Danny Dusty on the Fan.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to
646-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. All right. We got some text coming in here. The Chris Mannix news that is coming down the pipeline here, which was not a very well kept secret, we could say, that Chauncey Billups and the Blazers might be trending towards a split.
Sure.
Mannix makes it sound more definitive than I think that people would want to let on.
Yeah, I mean,
he makes it sound like this is almost going to happen.
yeah. Full disclosure, I got a call before we came on the air that there was stuff going on in the background. So that it escalated to that in the span of an hour and a half is pretty quick. So, yeah, I would say the levers are being pulled. This could just be Chauncey Billups and his camp trying to put a little pressure on Portland to make a decision on an extension.
The bitness side of things.
That's the entire other side of this. So, but a little bit surprised that it reached that level. And this is not the first time Mannix has had anything Chauncey Billups related in the past. So, I would imagine he's getting his information from a pretty direct source.
Yeah.
So,
one way or another.
Yeah.
Your feedback on the Vancouver Ford text line. All of this is, and I've been saying this all along, this texter says, I don't think Portland fans were ready for what tanking actually entailed. And it's this aspect of it too. It's the roster. It's the losing and just getting kicked in the groin from October to April repeatedly. Over and over. It's funny when you're watching America's Funniest Home Videos. It's funny when you're watching Oklahoma City have it happen to him, Sacramento have it happen to him, Minnesota have it happen to him. Not as funny when it's happening to you.
it's full idiocracy. Ouch, my balls.
Yeah, that's
That-
right. That's
Man,
right.
I love you on your show, and then kick him in the balls.
But it is also the coaching staff, the front office. There's a lot of turnover in times like this, and it is not quick. It's not easy. It gets messy. And we're starting to see it because, again, we saw it with Terry Stotts, Neil Olshey, and now Chauncey Billups and that turnover happening right in front of our very eyes.
So it's one of those things that's again, we'll react when it goes one way or the other, or we get other information. But as of right now, it's out there publicly, which I didn't expect it to be that quickly.
Yeah. This text says, free agent acquisitions have a lot to be desired. I get it. Build through the draft, but don't ask fans to grin and bear it while still pretending to be a team trying to win.
Who's pretending to try to win?
They have not been hiding any secrets on this. They
No.
weren't trying to win this
Like,
year
if
or last year.
If you just listen,
or the end of the year before that.
they've told you, I've told you, we've told you.
Everybody has said it.
They're not going to win.
And everybody.
If you were trying to convince yourself, like, well, if they were healthy, they could have won 38.
Now, if you're
Sure.
if you're listening
Okay.
to players, or you're like Anthony Simons in his exit interview said, "Hey, I want to be on a winner. I want to win." Well, yeah,
Duh.
the players obviously do
Always.
because players don't tank, organizations do.
Yeah, exactly.
Coaches don't tank, organizations do. A lot of times, coaches are just dealt a hand and said, "Play it."
Yeah.
You can't fold. Play it.
Mhm.
And right now, what we may be seeing is Chauncey Billups saying, "No, I fold.
Yeah.
I'm out." And that it could be as simple as that.
So
All right.
it'll be interesting. I've had a few people already ask as far as where else could he go? Would he really be a candidate for the jobs? I don't know. I don't know what other openings are going to be there here in a couple weeks, and then whether or not he wants to be an assistant. Does he want to be a head coach? I mean, JJ Redick's getting opportunities. He's leaving. He's probably going to leave Network TV. Doc left Network TV. Chauncey could go back to ESPN. Like there's a million different routes for this. I don't. The coaching carousel stuff is, when basketball is still ongoing, is super hard to keep track of because you don't really know what's going to happen.
He could start a podcast.
He could. I
He
mean,
could start a podcast.
I will tell you this: Chauncey Billups pre and post game is one of the easiest coaches in the entire NBA to talk to and work with.
Yeah.
So him doing a podcast, I could see it.
All right. Okay, let's get to hour number 2 here on this Wednesday, Wrestling Wednesday. We still haven't even touched the Thunder Mavs game. We have not touched Boston dropping the hammer on the Cavaliers. which was fun to see.
Mm.
It was fun to see. It looks like they're playing a little pissed off,
Mm.
which is good to see. But where we got to start hour number 2 is we're going to take a little break from the NBA and go to the world of college football, where a blue blood power program may not be playing those reindeer games anymore. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. of yours, whether it's on 1080 AM 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, youtube.com/1080am the fan, or twitch.tv/1080am the fan. Welcome, everybody. All right, we're partying on one more on the Chauncey Billups Portland Trailblazers situation that is percolating. If you don't know what is going on, let us tell you really quick in a quick reset. Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated, the first to put it on out there. Teams are monitoring Chauncey Billups' situation in Portland. League sources told SI Now the Blazers are rebuilding and just parted ways with 2 assistants, including Billups' brother Rodney. If Billups-Portland split, Billups would quickly emerge as a candidate for other jobs. That's all we have right now. That sounds more pressing than I think it actually is, because these are where conversations start. This is all centered around Chauncey wanting a contract extension. And Sean Highkin, Rose Garden Report, he put it on out there too that, he believes that this is more extension related, and the Blazers' unwillingness to give him a long-term extension after this next season, which he has 1 more year remaining on his deal. So that we'll dive back into that. We'll get your thoughts on that as anything else pops up regarding Chauncey Billups and the Portland Trailblazers. Spring ball across college football has wrapped up, and this past weekend was kind of everybody's last chance to get in and get your spring games in. UW had theirs on Friday, and now the transfer portal has closed for people that aren't entering the portal, but a lot of guys have committed, and we're seeing a lot of teams filling needs. Right, we saw it with the Oregon Ducks with Peyton Woodyard and Derek Harmon, the safety out of Alabama, and the defensive tackle from Michigan State, both committing to Oregon over the weekend. 2 of the most highly coveted defensive prospects that remained in the portal, both going Oregon's way. Well, there's now a lot of coaches out there, and they're having to be on the offensive because maybe they didn't fill those holes in their roster. Which brings us to one Brian Kelly. And Brian Kelly sat down with WFAB 9 in Baton Rouge. And he opened up some eyes and is getting dragged for this response.
Well, I think I made it pretty clear in a number of the press conferences that I had that we were in the market in recruiting in the transfer portal looking for defensive linemen. It hasn't fared very well, quite frankly, because we're selling something a little bit differently, and that is we want to recruit, we want to engage, build relationships, we want to develop, retain, and have success. We're not in the market of buying players, and unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought, and look, I understand NIL is part of this, and we have an incredible collective. We have very, very generous opportunities around the greater Baton Rouge area for NIL opportunities. So they are here, but we're not going to go out and buy players. That's not what this is about. This was never about that. We will develop you. We will get you ready for the next step, as we did with Jaden Daniels, as we did with Malik Neighbors, as we did with Brian Thomas. We developed 3 defensive linemen that all got drafted this year, and we'll do that again. But if you're just looking to get paid, you're looking in the wrong place. If you like all the things that we do here in developing our players, bringing you into a championship program, playing in front of the best fan base in America, playing for championships, and having an opportunity for NIL, you should be a Tiger. But if you just want to get, paid, this is not the place for you.
Uh-huh.
This coming from the man who left Notre Dame for a $100 million contract.
Run me again.
And then he mentioned Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, how did he get from Arizona State to LSU? Did he just just choose LSU out of the goodness of his heart?
And that is a pretty blanket statement that all of the guys in the portal were just looking for money. And this is what it comes down to is you get to a point where a coveted prospect in the portal has a bunch of very good programs to choose from, NIL does matter.
Yes.
I mean, what he's saying is that we only want the guys that are going to come and they're going to compete right away.
Good luck.
The idea that, I mean, he's basically saying that any of these guys that didn't go to LSU are
They aren't-
going
they aren't
solely
good enough, yeah.
for the money.
Yeah.
You know, they're not the guys who want to play and they want to compete.
It sounds like he's covering his own ass of failing to work all that well in the transfer portal. That's what it sounds like.
And that is 100%.
No way,
what
old
it
coach
is.
struggling to recruit or bring guys in via either high school or transfer portal. Wow.
I also found it pretty amusing that he's like, the guys that we developed here, like Malik Neighbors, who was recruited there before he got there. You know, it is, and they do a fantastic job. LSU has historically done a fantastic job with developing wide receiver talent,
Wide receiver
and
and
quarterback,
DBs. Yeah.
quarterback talent. Well, in front, like LSU has been an NFL pipeline
Oh, yeah.
at every level on both sides of the
But
ball.
I mean, historically, the last
Historically.
15 years, it's
Yeah.
wide receivers and DBs.
DBs.
They crank out top end guys.
But this is what, and when you say the old guy in the new age of college football, this is where a lot of the older coaches have gone to. And you look at the coaches that do very well in the portal, whether it's Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, Deion Sanders, they are guys who have embraced the idea that you can fill holes through the portal, and using NIL, it should not be, it's not an inducement, right? As the NCAA calls it. There's a reason why
We heard
that
Nick
we are
Saban on
careening.
TV say, we tried to get this guy to get into the portal, but he wouldn't go. Like, what are we doing here? You know what? I'm going to go
Nick
full.
Saban in the NFL draft. If
Yeah.
you missed that one, when the corner out of
Quinion Mitchell.
God, where'd he go? Kent
Toledo.
State?
Toledo.
Toledo. When he sat there when he got drafted, said, "Yeah, this was our number one target in the portal. We tried to get him in the portal. He wouldn't enter the portal, but he was our number one target in the portal." It's like, dude,
It's literally tampering.
that is the only rule
Yeah.
you cannot break.
I'm going to go full Dave Chappelle here. And, what does Jaw think about this? Where's Dabo on this? Dabo's been awful quiet. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Well, did you see?
Put his head
these-
down and recruit.
There are 4 FBS programs that did not get a single player out of the portal.
Mm.
Clemson is one of them.
Oh,
Not a single player
interesting.
added through the portal. Do you want to guess the other 3? Do you know the other 3?
No.
Small FBS. I'm assuming
They are all FBS programs. You guys know all of them.
Are they all military academies?
It is
Yeah.
Army, Navy, Air Force.
Yeah, there you go.
Army, Navy, Air Force, Clemson.
Yeah, you
the
can't-
only 4 FBS programs that did not have a single addition to the transfer portal.
Transfers to a military academy outside of Citadel is pretty much unheard of.
All of them had players go out of the
Yeah.
portal.
Oh, yeah. No, but into? No.
Nobody came in.
Nobody goes
That
through
way.
their first year of college and goes, you know what I want to do? All that stuff I just did, I want to give that up. It's not how that works, ever.
Could this be Brian Kelly's like shift after last year where he just got ripped for all of his weird recruiting practices? Like, remember he was doing the videos with the kids and Kiffin was making fun of him, and then a couple of the other like athletes, none of them really committed with him. Could that be what's going on here where he's like, I went full bore into it last year and it didn't work for me. So maybe I revert back and it's a stark overcorrection.
But at the same time, like if you go down that line of thinking, you can say that no, what we did through the portal was actually very effective. Jaden Daniels won a Heisman Trophy,
Mhm.
right? Like what we did through the portal, it did work. And you can say we need to kind of grease those skids a little bit more. It is in the idea that LSU had a bad year. They didn't have a bad year. What, they were 9-.
They had
They're-
3 losses. They lost to
So-
FSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss, I believe. I believe those are your losses.
And that, like, by no way is that a bad year. But in their offense, as Pete Carroll would say, the offense was ripping, right? You had
Defense struggled.
You had a Heisman Trophy winner, but also Notre Dame would like to have a word with that because they had those struggles at times too, right? Where the offense was unstoppable, but it was on the defensive side. They were 10-3 last year. They were 10-3 and end of the season on a 4-game win streak. Like what they did, it does work. Into the idea that LSU of all places being like, yeah, we don't pay players. You're in the SEC. We know that you guys were paying players before NIL was actually a thing because it's in the SEC and you won 2 national titles during that time. Yeah. We know what you guys are doing. Actually, 3 because you had Saban, and then you had Les Miles, and then you had Ed Orgeron. You've won 3 national titles before NIL was actually a thing. Don't give me that we don't go down that road. You guys lived in that area.
There's no crossing that up.
Yeah. Brian Kelly is a damn good coach, though.
Oh, yeah. Horrible human being, great coach.
Great football mind. An amazing developer of talent everywhere he's been, whether it was Grand Valley State or Central Michigan or Notre Dame or LSU. He squeezes the most out of his guys. But it's always been in a very particular way. And this is one of the things that people were cautioning when Brian Kelly went down to LSU, right? He came from Notre Dame. Is he going to play those games? And if he's not going to play those games, then especially in the era of college football that we are at now, where NIL does matter. NIL especially matters in the portal when you're trying to get great players to fill holes in your roster. Having those opportunities does matter. So he talked out of both sides of his mouth by saying we have great opportunities for NIL in Baton Rouge, which they do. But his problem is they couldn't close on those defensive line prospects. And that is a bigger issue for them.
Well, could that also be because athletes are smarter than they've ever been before? And if you see, hey, he's great with offensive players and their development. Notice how none of the people that he mentioned by name were on defense. That could be a thing, too, where the D linemen look at that and go, I don't care how much money you give me. Or if you say, hey, we're going to give you the same amount that this school is going to give me, but I can go and play for a better defensive coordinator, or I can go play for a better defensive position coach, I'd rather go and do that.
And I think there is a reality here that I think people need to kind of wrap their head around, is that you also have a new defensive coordinator coming into LSU this year. Blake Baker, who was at Missouri, and I don't know if Missouri may be like the most overlooked solid program in the country right now.
Yeah.
Whether it's NFL talent, winning football games,
Yeah.
Missouri's done a really damn good job, and they brought in Blake Baker, but he didn't come from a program that is a powerhouse.
No, so you got to do things a little bit differently.
And so anytime you have a defensive coordinator come in, you're going to have guys inherently jump into the portal. I know that they had the kid, the defensive lineman who ended up at Colorado. He was an LSU guy. Your holes are going to happen in your roster because you have a major coaching change, especially at the defensive coordinator position. It's the way of the world right now.
That movement. And I wonder how different that looks as we move into the more corporate structure and coaching contracts and how much fluidity there's going to be in that going forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a interesting world that we're living in now. 503-864-6326 is the Vancouver Ford text line. Coming up next, let's get to the Thunder. What they did to the Mavs last night was impressive by any stretch, but there is cause for concern. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Night on the Dallas Mavericks, 117-95 in OKC. SGA goes for 29, 9, and 9. Just couldn't get that triple-double, I guess.
Coward.
Right? What are you doing?
Unbelievable.
But it was the way that happened that was so impressive on my end from the Oklahoma City Thunder, because he came out and that first quarter I thought played out exactly how we thought it would.
A little feeling out process.
It was
for sure.
gonna kind of be a slugfest. It wasn't as pretty as we thought it would be, but they matched each other in that first quarter.
And then they score a combined 69 points in the second quarter.
And absolutely go wild.
Yeah, a lot up and down in that second quarter.
In the youth of Oklahoma City, it showed not just not in the later parts of that second quarter, but the third quarter
And in that fourth.
and into the fourth quarter as well.
There was a 3-minute period where OKC just put the pedal down and opened up a 8-point lead into a 20-point lead like that.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that the Nuggets have historically done, and in their title run, where it was like they did it to the Lakers last round, where it was like, all right, time to stop playing around. Caveat, not excusing it, because that's not the point. But Luka's clearly not Luka. The knee is clearly bothering him. He's walking up and down the floor. It's very much like Jamal Murray with the Nuggets, where it's like he's clearly not himself. But the Mavs with Luka this hindered, I don't think they have a chance.
And he was off all night.
Yeah.
But there was that moment in the third quarter with like 6 minutes to go in the third where Lou Dort hit a three.
Mhm.
And then they come back down and Dort steals the ball up on that far sideline from Luka, and they get a run-out dunk. I think it was Jalen Williams. By the way, Jalen Williams, what a fourth quarter.
He's a fourth quarter dude. Like,
Oh my God.
Is he like the guy that you want running through your offense for 4 quarters? No. Can he handle that? Like, I think you're looking at the new Chris Middleton.
At that point, when that play happened, though, that was a 5-point game.
Yeah. No, it was
was
still a tight game.
It was 72-67 when that play happened. Luka pushed his chips to the middle of the table, and it was like he was done. He never crossed half court on the dunk, and then when the ball came back over half court, he just kind of milled around. He got a ball passed to him, and he just kind of chucked it away. And I was like, uh-oh. And at that point, what you're saying, that lead went from 7 to 20 in a blink of an eye.
And it
in
was
a
just
blink of an eye.
steal, run out, block, run out, miss, run out, and you were just like, oh. Then there's a couple offensive rebounds that led to wide open threes for Aaron Wiggins. It's like, what just happened? And the game was over. And the question about this was whether or not OKC could hang physically, and they ended up beating the living hell out of the Mavericks on the glass. 52-39 overall, 16-11 on the offensive boards. Oof. I mean, what do you do with that? And you can say there was some foul baiting going back and forth between SGA and Luka, and my God, was there. Also, prayers up for Chet Holmgren. I mean, just a miraculous recovery after getting shot in the face. The hand of God came down and touched him. They were able to save his eye. I've never seen somebody writhe on the floor in a fetal position after getting poked in the eye. I have had hot metal in my eye. Don't get me wrong. I dropped to one knee and had like fluid running out of my eye, and they were able to get it out. I did not curl up in a ball in the fetal position underneath a basket after getting gently grazed on my eye. For a guy that's supposed to have the dog in him per 36 be at 1,000, what a chud move. Get up. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, man. Because I love Chet.
It's such a tough take on him.
But tell me it wasn't ridiculous.
It's pretty brutal.
He stayed down the entire possession and they play 5-on-4 and score because you're being a complete chud.
What's more brutal, the eye poke rolling around on the floor, or the what a pro wants, what a pro needs commercial?
What a pro
The
wants.
eye poke.
Oh, I'm going to go the commercial still.
Because, see, the commercial
We're split.
makes me roll around on the floor because of my ears.
Yeah.
I could not believe that. Literally laying on his side, curled up, holding his face.
Counterpoint. Chet is 7'2"?
7-1.
7'1". Has he ever been poked in the eye before?
They are the groin of the face.
maybe like quite literally that's the first time his eye has ever been touched and he didn't know how to react because he's so tall. I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I want to know if he's maybe never had his eye touched and it was so alarming to him, he hit the fetal position.
No.
Okay.
It was-
I'm trying to help you, Chet.
It was ridiculous. And I love Chet. He's one of my favorite players in the league to watch. I love the unicorn type players, the guys that are just a little bit weird. And,
Skeletor.
yeah. They have him listed at 210, and I'm still like, meh, are we sure?
He's 7'1", $190.
Yeah, it's
let's be
tough.
honest here. Like 210 may be heading into training camp
After
first weight,
6,000 calorie meal.
6,000 calorie meal and not hitting the John there before that weigh-in. Yeah. He may be pulling
It's the opposite of Pop Warner football when you got to go to use the Porta John before you get the weigh in to make sure you don't get the tag on your helmet.
This is not wrestling.
Yeah.
He is not cutting weight before he goes that way. He's packing up. You know
He's
what?
too thick to be a running back.
I
No,
bet-
I'm not.
I bet he was wearing like compression shorts and he slid a 10-pound weight into those compression shorts before he hopped on that scale.
His thigh pads were actually just little weights.
He weighed in wet shoes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Ankle weights in his thigh pads.
Yeah, that was that stuff does happen. By the way, when you go like the wet shoes, where you go in
Oh,
for
yeah.
your height, and you try to make sure that you slip in there with your shoes on, and you're wearing like the
Air
biggest
Force Ones.
shoes that you can wear.
Oh,
yeah, Air
Cole,
Maxes.
Cole Aldrich. There's a wives' tale out there about him wearing lifts
Oh, for his
for his
measurements?
with his shoes on. Yeah.
absolutely. I guarantee that it's not just Nick Saban who wears
No.
lifts, folks.
No.
It is these guys will try anything they
Mhm.
can, anything they can.
Big difference between 6'4" and 6'5".
But
Sure
it's
is.
also why the NBA Combine measures with and without shoes, so
Mhm.
you can see. That's crazy. You got 2.5 inches taller with shoes on.
Eric Olson on the YouTube chat, he says, Danny, it's called acting. All NBA players do it. That was excessive, though.
Yeah, no.
It
Look,
was excessive.
I don't mind selling a call. Like I'll give out the Academy Award.
Mhm.
I have no problem doing it. Tremendous stuff sometimes.
What do you think? Like, I didn't hear it. I don't remember. Actually, I don't remember hearing it. Did he give like a, or is he, ah?
No, I didn't.
No?
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't hear
yeah.
anything.
That.
That's a good one. Yeah. Well, poor Chet. All right. If Luka is not healthy, this is going to go sideways for the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think it's going to be as ugly as what we saw last night because you saw Jason Kidd pull the reins back, pulled everybody out,
Which,
and
yeah,
it got ugly.
Yeah, I mean,
7-game series. I don't want to overreact, but
it's not an aggregate.
without Luka Doncic,
They don't have a fighting chance.
they are
No.
screwed. And last night he looked like 70%.
Might even be generous.
If he is not 85 to 90,
Mhm.
they may be in some
Because
real trouble.
The interesting thing about this team, this OKC team, is they are zigging when other teams are zagging. Everybody else is bigger. They're not that big.
SGA kind of talked about that with their roles too.
It's what we've looked like all year. Every guy has a role. In the beginning of the season, we made it a point to control what we can control in our role and in our effort and our energy, and locking in on what our role is part of that. And that's just something that we come into the building every day. We come to work every day and we do. We try to master our role, and everybody obviously it looks different for. But we have a group of guys that embraces their role and tries to excel in it, and that's why.
And the crazy part about them, they got a lot of guys that were drafted really high too.
Mhm. Yeah, weird. Weird that it happens.
And they are, but finding those guys to fall in line, it's easier said than done.
but when you
That's why you
talk
have
about
the coach of the year,
yes,
who looks like Gene Potter, Jesuit high school basketball coach.
oh my God, he does.
Oh, dude, yes, 100%.
Wow.
When you look at him, he looks like Gene Potter, Jesuit high basketball coach. Like it's
would
like
not have
separate.
made that, but yeah,
He looks more like Gene Potter than Gene Potter's brother, Ken Potter, who's the football coach at Jesuit. Like it's crazy. Every time I see, what is it, Mike Diagonal?
Dagnall.
Yeah, Diagon Alley. When I see Diagon Alley coaching the Oklahoma City Thunder, I can't help but think that's Gene Potter.
Okay.
Potter's good dudes.
On the size thing, the the Thunder, while not being big bulk wise,
Mhm.
they do have some unique qualities to them. Their point guard is 6'6". Okay. Shea's enormous. Lou,
They're not big, 6'6" point guard, but you're talking beefy.
yeah, but he might weigh 200 pounds. Like him and Anthony have very, very, very similar frames.
Not buffet dudes.
Well, Lou Dort's probably about 245 at
Torture
6'4".
chamber.
I've walked by him and I'm like, oh, buddy.
One of my
You're-
favorite nicknames in
The
sports.
Dortcher chamber? Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Dortcher
Dort's probably listed like 215. If he's anything under 240, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
Because
Jacked.
not just he's got some bulk to him. It's not just
he's got big butt.
He could play tight end.
Big
yes.
butt.
Like he's him and Zion are built
Don't
in
do
the
this.
same frame.
Yeah.
Like he's just a
Yeah. But
super jacked. There's some fat there. Don't get it wrong, but it's good fat in the sense of like offensive lineman fat. You got to have a little to be able to bump guys around. But they have so many guys that are unique. Like Chet, yes, he weighs 210 pounds, but he covers more ground than a freaking Greyhound. So even though they're maybe lacking some of the ability to, and it's going to be interesting if they take on Minnesota in the next round, the ability to handle real size. That's the question about this team. So, all right, coming up next is our worst day on the web. We're going to stay in the NBA as, we all pointed at Pat Beverly for being a complete a-hole. Now the cops are involved. But first, here's Big Will Betts of the Sports Center update.
And 1080 The Fan.
Oh, really? That sucks.
If you're like me and you kind of want to see the chickens come home to roost for people when they do very stupid things, you might enjoy this.
Okay.
Latest report
Tell me more.
from Shrimp Serrania. Indianapolis police are investigating the incident between Patrick Beverley and a fan during Game 6 of the Bucks-Pacers series. Detectives confirmed to me and Mike Vorkunov that they are working with the Gamebridge Fieldhouse to review video footage and plan to speak with parties involved.
Okay, wait a minute. Will Pat Bev speak to the police if they don't subscribe to his pod? That's
I don't
my
think
question.
he has a choice.
Well, I don't know. He has the
You
right.
always have a
He has the
choice.
right to remain silent. And if they don't subscribe to his pod, he just may remain silent. I think that's another thing we learned here.
God, I hope it goes down that route.
Like we get like the
Because the ever out and
interrogate.
find out scale is just going to go off the charts.
We get the interrogation room footage, like it's first 48 of like, Mr. Beverly, thank you for joining us.
Do you subscribe to my podcast?
Can you tell me what happened on that evening? Do you subscribe to my pod? I do not. Well, I'm not talking to you then. You have the right to remain
I
silent.
just had a
which
picture of
is
him getting
right.
dragged away in handcuffs saying, but they didn't subscribe to my podcast.
And appears in front of a judge. Judge, do you subscribe to my podcast? Well, you need to start speaking then.
Meanwhile, I might just take up smoking just so I can have a cigarette and watch that.
Isn't his defense like, but I threw the ball at so many other people. Why are they going after me for this one?
Maybe.
Think about it. He threw the ball at Pat Connaughton.
Maybe the authorities getting involved. All this sounds like to me is
Better pay the fan.
those folks are lining up for a civil lawsuit and they're gonna get some money.
Which, good.
Yeah, they can.
Maybe you won't huck a ball at them, dummy, for telling them Cancun on 3.
Yeah. Ooh, what if he just buys them a trip to Cancun?
All expenses paid, trip to
Yeah,
Cancun.
They can go
3
to
days.
an all-inclusive resort in Cancun. Maybe that's the fix there.
Oh, God.
Cancun is wonderful
And
this time of
honestly, if Pat Bev does want to spin this positively as much as he possibly could in this situation, that's probably the play for him, is to just be like, hey, I got them an all expenses paid trip to Cancun because they told me Cancun on 3. I'm very sorry. I'm making amends with them. We're going to make this happen, and I'm going to send them to Cancun. Because I bet there's a resort out there that is dumb enough to say, you know what? For some run on your pod,
Partner with Pat Bev.
on your podcast, we'll advertise on your podcast. We'll do a little trade.
No. It's got to come out of his pocket.
No, but I'm saying how Pat Beverly makes this happen without him even needing to pay anything. That's what this could happen for him. I could see this happening for him.
No,
And
that's too good. There needs to be pain here.
But if the Pacers are smart, they jump Pat Bev. They get a resort on board to become a sponsor for the Pacers, and they can run a commercial about the Pacers fan who gave Pat Bev the Cancun on 3 and got an all expenses paid trip to Cancun for it,
Does the hotel have to
for
be
getting
in,
him to go over the edge.
Does the hotel have to be in Cancun, or do you get to do Playa del Carmen or Tulum? It's all 3 the same area.
Yeah, no, I think it has to be Cancun.
Okay,
after
flight-
you get the Cancun
Flight
on
to
3.
Cancun,
Mm-hmm.
but you get to look.
Playa
it's
del
too-
Carmen's nice.
Look,
The Indy
It's-
airport should be on
it's
this.
touristy, but you want to go to Tulum. You want to get down to Belize.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Tulum's in Belize.
No, you want that you get closer, and then you get down.
Oh, okay.
Then you get down to Belize.
Go see the ruins.
Exactly. See, this is what I've been trying to pitch this to my wife because she wants to do the cruise.
I want nothing to do with
Just-
the cruise.
Just stay at a hotel.
I've done them
Cruises.
before. I've done them before. I'm ambivalent. It's like I got the experience out of my system. I don't want to do it again.
I was talking to God, I can't even remember who I was talking to about this. But the Alaska cruise is the only one that sounds like it would be.
Have you seen
fun.
these new super boats?
Yeah.
Ships. These things are insane.
Yeah, that is okay. My thing with cruises is just being, like
Stuck on a
on
boat.
one place, and I know you get to get off the boat, but
But you also have time, and it's like
and then they nickel and dime you with booze and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, if
where,
you do it,
like,
we're
you
gonna
have to
do,
pay
we'll do
everything.
we'll do all expenses.
Well, yeah,
Just do that at the hotel. Hang out at the beach all day.
Trust
That's
me,
what I'm
that's
talking
what I
about.
want
I'm
to
on
do.
your side here.
that's what I'm talking about. Give me a beach.
Look, and then I want to go like do an excursion. You know?
yeah.
Go see the Mayan ruins.
Yes, that's 100% what I'm trying.
That's right.
That's what I'm angling
But,
for.
and now I know 321 on the Vancouver Ford text line and the YouTube chats. We're just going to be getting like, well, you can do that because they stop in ports. I know.
Yeah, but it's not the same. You don't control it.
Also, the open sea is scary to me.
Have you ever been on the ocean at night when they turn the lights off?
No,
It is a level of darkness that you cannot fathom.
I don't want that.
And you're like, I'm not in a cave. Why is it this black?
I know what happened to the Titanic.
Buddy, it is a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like was it new moon when there's no moon up in the sky and there's no natural light coming down and the ship lights are off other than like the ones that they need to bleep up, it is dark.
The videos are really scary too, of like when they hit like rough waters and like the whole ship is like
When you realize how like that, what is it, something like 45 feet, 50 feet of the boat is already underwater to begin with.
Yeah,
and
I'm
you're
out.
like, how are we moving if that much boat is already underwater? Ocean's terrifying.
Stay on the beach. Get a cabana.
That's what I'm talking about.
Down by the beach, boy.
The water's so warm. It's like being in a bath. I want to go back.
Yeah. Now, like, okay, this sounds weird to me, but I would rather do this than the cruise. And I actually want to do this. This texture says, I went and stayed in the jungle near Punta Gorda in Belize. One of the best vacations of my
Yes.
life. Yes. Like, I sound like a lunatic being like,
Give me the thatch hut with Wi-Fi.
this amazing cruise ship that is monstrous and it's beautiful and it's got a water park on
it's
it.
got
And
6,000 people on
it's
it.
like got 6 holes of golf, whatever. Like, yeah, this sounds amazing. No, give me the hut in the jungle.
Yes.
I would rather do that. I'd rather go stay in the jungle.
Yeah.
I'd rather be Mowgli.
Yeah.
Jungle Book me.
100%.
Yes.
Without the bugs.
Nah, yeah.
Need the
you
bug
don't like
nets.
the bugs. You don't like the bugs.
Need
I
the
don't
bug
want-
nets and the Wi-Fi.
I like going into like the markets. You know, like the meat
Yeah.
markets, or just seeing what's going on.
The meat markets?
Yeah, where they make like, they have like the pig hanging, or whatever.
Yeah.
We did that in Mazatlan once. It was fun.
Mm.
I enjoyed it.
All right.
So yeah. But that all in all, Pat Bev, cops are involved.
Yeah.
Dummy.
Yeah. There's ways that he can get out of this, though.
I don't
And
want
is all of
I don't
this-
want anything good to though. I want it to hurt.
If Pat Bev gives you tickets to go on a Cancunian cruise, don't take it.
Ooh, no.
That it'll push you off.
That's what international waters.
Yeah.
Yep. Dang.
See?
Okay.
There you go. You want to talk about more stupid things that are happening to NBA players? Or actually, even better yet, we're not going to do that because we have a piece of audio of the best
Oh,
jinx of all time. Come up here on Danny and
it's
Dusty. 10 a.m. fan.
beautiful.
Shout out Greg Amsinger for giving us maybe the best announcer jinx of all time. I don't think you could set this up any better than what he does here.
Don't take this the wrong way, but we are already a no-hitter alert. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, before he throws a single pitch tonight against the Marlins, we have a no-hitter alert. Okay. Enjoy what could be a no-hitter from Yamamoto.
You know Jazz swing your first pitch.
Right here on MLB Network for Harold, CY, I'm Greg. We have a no-hitter alert. Enjoy this game live on MLB Network.
Boy,
It's in the major leagues to establish himself as that guy. Dodgers looking for a 6th straight win and a 13th out of their last 15 after they took the first game 6-3 last night. Yamamoto comes home and off we go, and the aggressive Marlins get a first pitch swing and a high fly ball and a home run for Jazz Chisholm on the first pitch.
That's some Harry Doyle-esque stuff.
We're a no-hitter alert here. Enjoy this game. The first pitch from Yamamoto. Chisholm over the wall. Home run. The very first pitch. That was incredible.
Just truly outstanding stuff.
Like, I mean, you can't draw it up any better. And, like, the worst part is if for Amsinger, if it would have been the second hitter, he would have looked really dumb. The fact that it was the first hitter and the first pitch,
and it wasn't just a little slap, it's a freaking no-doubter bullet off of Chisholm's back.
It makes it the best thing ever. I mean, ever. It is incredible theater that we got from Amsinger there. And, oh, by the way, if you're wondering, Yamamoto is absolutely insane this year.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen what he has done?
Yeah.
He is destroying Major League Baseball right now.
It's super helpful.
He is 4-1 with the 2.79 ERA.
Uh-huh.
But if you look at his last his last 3 starts, he's been untouchable, man. He had 2 shutouts in his previous 2 outings, and then that one he gave up that run and then 1 more. He is absolutely dealing. The last week he's 2-0 with a 1.29 ERA. Just he's living up to the hype.
Is that good?
The Dodgers, they are going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah, so you've got that on the pitching side of things.
Really,
and I didn't know how I was
the
going
best
to
record yet.
I didn't know how I was going to work this in, but this is how I'm going to work it in.
Okay.
Shohei Ohtani right now in batting ranks. For those that don't know, baseball is the most stat nerdy of all, and you've got Major League Baseball has brought in Baseball Savant into their tracking data, and it's a part of their publicly available package. In every tracking category, here's where Shohei Ohtani ranks in OBA, 100th percentile, XBA, 100th percentile, slugging, 100th percentile, ISO rating, 100th percentile, on-base percentage, 100th percentile, barrel percentage, 100th percentile, total number of barrels, 100th percentile, exit velocity on hits, 99th percentile, max exit velocity, 100th percentile, hard hit percentage, 100th percentile.
I don't know what most of that means, but it sounds really good.
It means he's literally the best
really
hitter in
good.
baseball on every single level.
Yep. And the Dodgers right now are first in runs scored. First in runs scored, and it's not even close, with 211. Next closest is the Padres with 198. And then they are, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8th in runs allowed this year, which means they're just smoking teams.
Good Lord.
And they're plus 72 run differential. Next closest is the Phillies, who have the best record in the National League, at plus 52.
20+ run difference.
They're crushing teams.
I can't wait until they lose to Arizona, who barely gets into the playoffs.
I mean,
neither.
that's
I can't wait for that
baseball in a
either.
nutshell, though. It's playing, being hot at the right time and having your pitching staff. But what they are doing right now, I think they have a chance to break some pretty nasty records across the board.
I mean, they're not going to get the wins record because they're not I mean, they're
Well, I'm
not that good.
runs and run differential type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they have the opportunity to. They really do, but they're banged up. Everybody, are your pitchers' arms all going to fall off?
Yes.
That is going to be the big question because that's what every team is going through in baseball, and the Dodgers are no different. If you think of kind of where they're at right now, you have Clayton Kershaw's hurt.
Just got Bueller back.
Bueller just got Bueller. But their bullpen, you have Bobby Miller. He's on the 15-day IL. Joe Kelly's on the IL. Their closer, Evan Phillips, is on the IL. Like, they've got
Pitching everywhere is on the IL.
Yeah.
Not just the Dodgers.
Except for Seattle.
Except for
having
Seattle.
5 starters is a good place to go to.
We got 6.
Having 5 starters is a good place to go to.
Woo's still coming up.
If you look at it, by the way, the runs scored there that we were talking about, Mariners, they are...
We don't score a lot.
No. They are 23rd in runs scored.
But look, runs given up.
Yeah, Felix Hernandez is somewhere going, see?
In runs allowed, numero uno.
I think they just passed 100.
Or numero uno.
On the Vancouver Vortex line. Did I hear 99th percentile in there? What a bum.
Yeah.
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 He had one 99th percentile, and that's exit velocity.
Put it together, dude.
Which, come on, dude. Come on. What are we doing here?
Could that improve as his Tommy John surgery elbow improves?
I hope not.
Could improve if he connects on this ball. He's 0 for 3 today, though.
Coward. He's afraid of the ball. Oh, okay.
No, that was a blooper to the outfield.
All I saw was the pose at the end when I spun around, and I'm like, did he really just get that?
No.
On baseball news, real quick, I'll sprinkle this one. Find another way to get in here. On the top of MLB.com right now, Paul Skeens is going to make his major league debut for the Pirates. They are finally going to call up. If you want to see something terrifying, well, flip on the Pirates game on the 11th and watch Paul Skeens, the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball, and watch him throw 103 miles an hour, and then watch him throw a 79-mile-an-hour breaking ball, and then watch his arm explode in 6 months.
And then watch his smoking hot girlfriend, Olivia Dunn, sitting in the front row.
Livy Dunn?
Yep.
You said Olivia Dunn.
Olivia Dunn.
Livy Dunn.
No, her name is
You
Olivia.
get her name correct. Correct.
Olivia?
You come in my house, you get my wife's name correct.
You're Paul Skeens?
No, I was quoting the other guys.
Is he that scene
Christina
is hilarious. Christina. That's what I said. Are they still together?
Christina?
No, Livy Dunn and and Paul Skeens. That's
there was
a power couple.
There was a whole uproar. She was watching the game on a little laptop. It wasn't nice enough. It was a whole thing.
I mean, there you go.
All right.
There's your sweet baseball news.
One thing about Skeens too is he has a pop that the glove has when he throws a fastball.
It's just different.
It sounds like a rocket going off. Like it's like on the glove. It's nuts.
The video they dropped is so sick. You got to go watch it. It's on X.
It's on Twitter.
X.
Weirdo. All right, coming up next here in hour number 3, the Boston Celtics dismantle the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's not Jaylen Brown. It's not Jason Tatum. Derek White is white hot. What does that mean for the Celtics? And can they keep it going through this round and for an eventual matchup with the winner of the Pacers and Knicks? Coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. And our twitch.tv/1080 AM, The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. And I hope you're enjoying this wonderful, not so smarchy day.
It's great. Sunny and 68, the high today. And then the heater turns on, and I can't wait for it. Let's go. Let's go.
Turn it on.
All for it.
All for it. The Boston Celtics turned it on last night. My God. 120-95, and it probably could have and should have been worse than that, as the Celtics throttle the Cleveland Cavaliers. And this is without Jason Tatum having to carry the load. He box score-wise, he was inefficient. 7 of 19, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Solid enough box score. But what they're getting out of Derek White has been absolutely absurd over the last couple of games. He's 20 of 36 from 3 over his last 3 games.
And that is, in the playoffs, look, stars win you games, and stars matter in the playoffs. And Jaylen Brown, is not a great game from Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown was absolutely fantastic yesterday. And your stars are what carry you, but your role players need to come up and pick up slack when you don't get that effort from Jason Tatum, right? And having a guy like Derek White be able to do that, because nobody is going to expect a game where Al Horford is going to carry a bulk of your scoring anymore, right?
No, he's 37.
He's 37 years old. He is out there just kind of doing Omen's work and being a wily old vet. So you're going to have a guy like a Derek White
or Drew Holiday
who can fill it up for you and fill that void when Tatum isn't going for 40, which we know he's capable of doing.
And the thing about Tatum was, even though he was inefficient last night, 7 of 19.
Defense.
Yes, his defense is rebounding, but also the amount of eyes that he draws. Defenses are going to key on him and make other guys beat them. They're going to make Jalen create, actually show that he has a left hand. They're going to make Derek White shoot. They're going to make Drew Holiday shoot. They're going to make Al Horford shoot because they know Jason Tatum is the star of that team. But the thing about this team that I've said that is that they are robotic in nature, and it's very good, except for I don't think they know how to change and play different styles. But when they play their style, they hit 18 threes. 18 threes on 46 attempts. That's 39%. They shot 49, 39, 86. They got threes up. They knocked them down, and Derek White hit 7 of 12. And when that happens, you just get pummeled. Boston scored 40 in the first quarter. Now, both teams combined. Remember, we said both teams combined in Dallas, OKC to score 69 in the second quarter.
Yeah,
they combined for 29
in the second quarter
of this game.
Slowed down, but I think that's one thing that they did, like the break in with Joe Mazzulla in the huddle in one of the timeouts, and he kept on preaching something that from that moment on, and you could see it before. He said physicality and tight on the perimeter. And they made life a living hell for the Cleveland Cavaliers on the perimeter. And they shot abysmal from beyond the arc. What they were
11 of 42.
11 of 42. But it's those clamps that they had on the perimeter defense, which I thought was something when you say they don't play a lot of styles offensively,
No.
they cannot adjust and adapt. But when they can take you out of your rhythm offensively, that is where they're so dangerous. But it is like what Miami was able to do to them last year to Boston, which was they made them play a style on the offensive end that they couldn't adjust to, playing a zone.
Yes.
They zoned them up and said, we dare you to shoot a 3.
And it took them out of their drive and kick, because that's what their machine of like must drive and kick.
And what Miami was able to do on the offensive end for their end
was junk it up.
Was they were able to junk it up, and Boston was like, it looks like Boston is ready defensively to junk it up with teams this year.
And not only that,
and Drew Holiday plays a massive role in that.
And Donovan Mitchell had a good game, 12-25, 33, 6 and 5. I mean, he was the only guy who was there with any consistency. Garland had an okay game, 6-15, 14, 5 and 3, and it's like that's not enough. And that's always like, I love Darius Garland. I think he's a really, really, really good player. When he first came in the league, I projected him as kind of being like a Lillard-esque type player. He does not take the volume. He's kind of deviated into less Dame, more Mike Conley, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think it fits this team, and I don't think it fits Donovan Mitchell as well as it should. Mobley had himself a nice little night, but they weren't getting the stuff that they needed from really anybody else.
Strus.
Yeah, their big free agent signing, who's been good for them this year.
He was great in that last playoff series. He hit timely, clutch threes, and he couldn't hit
And he
the
was
broadside.
great for the Heat last year.
Could not hit the broadside of a barn.
And
this
he only
year.
got 8
Or
shots
last
up.
night. Last night.
And that's the other thing. He only got 8 shots up. And that's the thing is I think you got to find a way to get everybody else involved. And again, I don't think Boston's going to have much trouble this series. But if Cleveland's going to not get embarrassed here, they got to figure something out.
It's one game. I think you talk about this all the time.
Make the adjustments.
Shooting variance and adjustments, right? Like you're going to have these games where do we expect Cleveland to shoot that poorly from beyond the arc every game this series? Because it was play him tight, play him aggressively on the perimeter from Joe Mazzulla. And they did a phenomenal job, and it took Cleveland kind of out of their rhythm in game 1. Game 2, they're going to adjust to that stylistically. And I think you're gonna have guys like Max Drew start knocking down some more threes, getting more shots up, and getting Darius Garland more integrated into your offensive game plan to where maybe they do look a lot more like Boston, where it's drive and kick, right? Drive and kick, because you can get off-ball screens on the weak side. You can create that separation and get open looks for Cleveland. I just think that Boston is going to overpower them. We had the audio last week of Jaylen Brown saying, hey, we told Kristaps, like, hey, get right, get healthy, we'll hold it down for you. That's something that Boston has not been able to back up in big moments in playoff. When they get shorthanded, they kind of unravel. They look pretty damn good in game 1 of the conference semifinals.
Yeah,
Kristaps Porzingis.
Turns out adding Drew Holiday to kind of balance some things out, super useful.
Dribble the basketball.
Left-handed even.
Left-handed dribbles.
Even. Wow. All right, coming up next, we picked to the NFL for a little bit. We talked about which coaches are the best in each division, but what if we take a look around the NFL quarterback rooms? Is there a team out there that's got a clear-cut worst quarterback room in the NFL? That and more here in Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
A surprise at the NFL.
Quarterback. The most
Ooh,
important
buddy.
position in all of sports. We're in a bit of a transitionary period over the last couple of years where the old guard is finally moving out almost entirely, with really Rodgers being the only guy hanging on
Of the old guys?
of the old guard.
Flacco.
Shut
with
up.
Rodgers being the only guy holding on still.
Comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco. He beat a guy who literally died.
Stop.
But I mean, you go team by team. That's
Yeah.
that's really it. Otherwise, everybody's pretty much under 30.
Yeah. Well, yes, you go Josh Allen. He's under 30 still. Patrick Mahomes under 30 still. Herbert under 30. Burrow. Lamar Jackson somehow still under 30. Under 30. How old is Lamar Jackson entering this year? Is he
28, 29?
Yeah, he's something like that. We do not have very many old quarterbacks
Good
anymore.
God,
in
he
the
turned
NFL.
27 in January.
Yeah, see, he's
We're the
like-
same age.
Yeah,
Did he come in at 20?
I think he might have. He's been around for a long time, and he's going to be a guy that we're like, he's been around forever, and he's young. He's like a Duke point guard.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's older than me.
He's a Duke
God, he
point
won
guard.
the Heisman in 2016.
Yeah,
What the hell, man?
He's a Duke point guard and oh my gosh,
Kansas.
Perry Ellis.
Perry Ellis is
Perry
third.
Ellis at Kansas. Yeah.
How is he still here? Meanwhile, Hunter Dickinson is actually that guy at Kansas now.
Right. Yeah.
Been in college basketball for 9 years. Him and Patrick, who's the tight end from Oregon? moved
Cam
on.
McCormick.
Cam McCormick,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's playing his
Ninth.
ninth
Year-
year at Miami.
Year 9. Yeah, he's the same recruiting class as me.
Really?
Kim McCormick and I are the same recruiting class,
So
I
you're-
believe.
So you're telling me he's just better than you? He outlasted you.
My knees are
great
better
young-
than his.
A great young man who's just been ravaged by injuries, dude. Like, it's been brutal for him.
But back to the point about
Yeah.
quarterbacks right now, they're all good and they're all under 30.
And that's why you see teams that, why we had 6 quarterbacks
Mm-hmm.
in the top 12 picks of this year's draft, because you need to find that guy, and you have to find him pretty quickly because everybody else can leave you in the dust, because a lot of teams not just have their quarterback, but he's very young too. And
Or
Aaron
you could be
Rodgers is the last
Pittsburgh and
one.
throw your hands up and go, we don't really care about quarterbacks.
Well, I guess Russell Wilson would be the other old guy.
But I mean,
Yeah, he would be the other old guy in the league, and not only do they have him, but they got Justin Fields as well, which when you look at it, that quarterback room isn't as bad as some of the other situations around the NFL, because today Ben DiNucci got released by the Denver Broncos.
which he's the old vet on the Broncos roster,
And
or
they were everybody's cracking jokes, because that leaves a quarterback room with Bo Nix,
0 starts.
Zach Wilson,
His starts have been very
Jarrett
bad.
Stidham.
His starts have been very bad.
That is their quarterback room right there.
That's a tanking quarterback room.
I mean, well, no, it's a rookie and then a bunch of unproven guys behind him without like an established vet. What teams will like to do is like what Minnesota did with J.J. McCarthy. You bring in a guy who is a veteran who has played in the league for more than 2 seasons and not with just the Jets. He went actually to San Francisco as well. Before he got run out for Zach Wilson. But you start understanding when you look at some of the quarterback rooms around the NFL and which ones are the worst. I mean, you look at everybody wants to say Daniel Jones, not that guy, right? They got Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito behind him. That's not a solid quarterback room by any means, but it's not even close to the worst situations in the league, because you can go in the NFC East and look at what Washington has, where you drafted Jaden Daniels too. You have Marcus Mariota, who had a roller coaster of a career, inconsistencies abound, but ended up going to the playoffs, winning a playoff game, and he's been around the block and is going to be a good teammate, willing to be a backup, right? Then you go, I think, like, it's a tie. It's like a tie for, like, third worst quarterback room in the league, and it's our 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gardner Minshew being your starter, that's basically having your Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
Just better vibes.
And outside of Minshew, you have with different vibes, way different, broy vibes with Gardner. Like, Jacoby Brissett, like, consummate professional,
Sure.
right? Everywhere he's been. Like, he's, like, very presidential. Like, he's, like, I'll go. He's more of a senator than a president.
I think
right?
maybe just stay away from government.
Yeah. Well,
That's just a solid statesman.
I'll go Senate, not the House. You know? How about we go there? A statesman is way better way to put it. But you have Jacoby Brissett with Drake May, who are we kidding? Drake May will be the starter there eventually, but right now it's Jacoby Brissett, and then you have Bailey Zappi, who's just a guy who can sling it. And then the Patriots went out and got Joe Milton, who can throw the ball 80 yards. Joe Milton has got a rocket for an arm. Like I think that's the only reason why they signed him in New England. But in Vegas, you've got Aiden O'Connell and Anthony Brown as the other backups there. Is not good. But when you look at what might be the two worst quarterback rooms in the entire NFL, you see why both of these teams perceived to reach at the quarterback position. Because I think at number 2, the second worst quarterback situation in the NFL right now, or quarterback room, is the Minnesota Vikings, where you have J.J. McCarthy, who they ended up taking 10th overall, who very well could be a very good quarterback, but he's the presumptive starter for the Minnesota Vikings. And behind him, you have Sam Darnold, whose career has been much maligned and has been
still seeing ghosts.
Yeah, the seeing ghosts is something that people will never be able to get over, right? And then you have Nick Mullins behind him.
Shout out him for continuing to cash checks. He must be a great dude.
Yeah.
Remember that throw he had?
That throw he had.
That duck.
That throw he had.
No.
No, I don't.
You don't remember him throwing that duck?
No.
Ended up being intercepted?
When he was with the Niners or when he was with the Vikings? I don't remember.
It was Vikings last year.
Really? I don't remember that throw.
Yeah,
was it like
it was
end over end?
It was the worst throw I've ever seen.
I have no idea.
Oh, I'll have to pull it during the break.
But
it's the worst throw I've ever seen.
You're sitting with a young guy starting, and you're not confident in what you have as your backup, right? And then in Denver, you have Bo Nix, and he is going to be the guy that they're going to ride with him. Behind him, Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham. Think about that. So when everybody goes back to why would you take McCarthy at 10? Why would you take Nix at 12? It's because of the situation that your quarterback room is in. You have got to be solid in that quarterback room. And if you're not, that's where reaches start to happen. Now, if we've talked about this at length, if they trade down and they get Bo Nix, nobody's batting an eye at that because you were able to trade down. The fact that Michael Penix Jr. went 8 to Atlanta, and you have that panic factor of, okay, now we can't afford to trade down because the guy that we like, he may be gone if we go back into the late teens, early 20s. But it explains why Minnesota trades up just one spot, the fear of getting jumped, because they like J.J. McCarthy. They had their guy. And when you look at what is behind them, backup quarterback is like everybody's favorite guy, right?
Oh, yeah. Unless you
They're not saying that in Denver and Minnesota, though.
Then that's why you get the guy behind him who's just awful, and you go, well, you want us to put him in? The throw that it was against the Lions.
Really?
Yeah, he threw.
I don't remember this.
You don't remember the duck of ducks?
This sucks. I love remembering bad throws.
He throws it up, and it's a whack, 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 whack. I mean, it is a wildly atrocious throw.
But that, like, in all of this, you sit there and you go, Denver's getting roasted because they get rid of Ben DiNucci, and people are like, this quarterback room is terrible. It's like, what, because Ben DiNucci's gone is terrible? No, it would have been even worse if Ben DiNucci was the guy you kept around. But how important that backup role is. That's why guys like Mitch Trubisky, like, he will always find, Sam Darnold will always find a way to be on rosters. Marcus Mariota's like, why would the Commanders bring in Mariota? Because to have somebody serviceable that is back there that could take a little bit of heat off in the event your quarterback has to miss a game or two, boy, it means a whole hell of a lot. And that's why you look at, I thought one of the great signings, even though I don't think he should have won Comeback Player of the Year, is Indy went out and they got Joe Flacco. Anthony Richardson got hurt twice in 4 weeks, and the second one was season-ending. If you have a guy that you know is going to get dinged up, getting a person that
a little bit better back there that you trust,
that you can have a little bit more trust sitting behind him,
and
right?
not the guy that's going to take over.
No,
but the guy that you can dust off and be like, all right, we need you for 2 weeks.
And Cleveland did the exact same thing with Jameis Winston. They went out and they got Jameis Winston. Like Joe Flacco gone because Joe Flacco is so great. Cleveland was like, no, we don't want you
back."
anymore.
Yeah.
We'll bring in Jameis Winston.
What do you have? 13 interceptions in 4 games.
Yeah, it's not great, Bob.
Let the thing go.
God, that just
Joe Flacco basically played
Still
football when he came back like he had a finite amount of throws, and he was just going to get them all out of his arm.
Do you guys know who Patrick Mahomes' backup is now?
No.
Gabbert?
No,
Who does Andy Reid love?
It was Gabbert.
Who is it?
Carson Wentz.
You
yeah,
know
I
what?
remember
I
signing
did
him.
know that.
Yeah, that's a sneaky little signing there.
An MVP
getting
and an
Carson.
almost MVP.
That's right. An almost MVP.
Not too shabby.
Like Joe Flacco, almost
I like it.
MVP. Almost that MVP. It was pretty crazy though, the reaction to Denver's room. It's like that's why they drafted a quarterback at 12, guys.
Yeah, because they had nobody.
That's why they traded for Zach Wilson.
That's a level of desperation I just don't want. I don't aspire to.
It's not in a good spot,
No.
and that's why Minnesota and Denver, they're banking on those guys
hitting,
developing and hitting.
which history tells us
But
probably both won't. But
also, if it doesn't work out, you can always point to what did we have sitting behind them,
Mhm.
right? And we're just gonna go back in the way the NFL is now.
Go do it again.
They'll just draft another one
Mhm.
because if it truly goes into the side of the mountain and it gets sideways, you're gonna be right near the top of the draft, and you're gonna be able to put yourself in a position to draft another quarterback in 1 or 2 years.
The other thing too is they both fit those systems. Like
So
Bo
well.
Nix,
Bo does.
he is smart. He gets the ball out of his hands fast. That's exactly what Sean Payton wants. And then up in Minnesota, they want a quarterback that can lead them to victories. That's JJ McCarthy.
Yep, just be a game controller if you're JJ McCarthy, right? In which I
He's great at it.
I do
No
not
one's
use
better.
that as a negative connotation on quarterbacks. I think it's actually
a good
one of the
thing.
best things that you can be as a quarterback is controlling the game and flow. But you also have got the ability to just get ball in playmakers' hands, and you have plenty of them, whether it's Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. Oh, my God, the running back that they got. Did they get
Jones?
Aaron Jones.
Did they get Jones?
Yeah, they got Aaron Jones from Green Bay. Just get the ball in your playmakers' hands, man, and good things are going to happen.
And watch what happens.
JJ McCarthy's a dealer in that regard. So it's interesting when you look at those situations, why you saw 10 and 12 quarterbacks go in the first round.
But we also look at this and go, "Ooh, those quarterback rooms at the bottom, they stinky.
They're bad, man.
They're
not
there's
great.
Not a lot of redemption in there." So,
But it also gives Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy a little bit longer of a leash too.
yeah, because everybody looks around and goes, "Well, what else am I supposed to
You ain't
do?"
gonna be begging that.
No. All right. Speaking of redemption, the Indiana Pacers get a chance for redemption tonight against the New York Knicks as Tyrese Halliburton takes on Jalen Brunson, going for his 5th 40-point game in a row in the playoffs. Coming up on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. But first, here's Big Will Betts, the Sports Center Update. In Portland, league sources told SI Now the Blazers are rebuilding and just parted ways with 2 assistants, including Billups' brother Rodney. If Billups and Portland split, Billups will quickly emerge as a candidate for other jobs. Running this back down before today's show, I got a phone call that was basically, hey, have you heard that Billups might be out in Portland? In that there was kind of stoking behind it, and I started making calls and sending text messages, and I was like, I don't know how much validity there is to this. And then an hour and 20 minutes later, this popped out. So it's gathering real steam. Now, whether or not this means that there is a potential divorce happening between Portland and Chauncey Billups remains to be seen. But the thing you have to remember is Chauncey Billups is going into a lame duck coaching year. And with that
final year of his deal is
with
what that means,
an option on the back end that hasn't been picked up yet. That does not happen in the NBA because one of 3 things happens. You're either fired, your option is picked up, or you're extended. The lame duck is not something that happens all too often around the league because the decision ends up being made one way or the other. So is this something that Chauncey Billups' camp is potentially putting out there to maybe put some pressure on the Trailblazers? Possibly. Is there real juice to Chauncey Billups possibly leaving? Sure. I've been hit with probably a half dozen names already of potential candidates that could step in for Chauncey Billups if he were to leave. I've also been asked, do I think he could land somewhere else? And judging by the text messages I've been getting all show, yeah, there's multiple spots he could land, not as an assistant, but as a head coach.
And that is something that it's always, of course, people are going to always be on the grass is always greener, team is terrible, get a new coach in, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is not a coach in the world that would have made that team better.
No.
There isn't. there truly is not. But I think that when you look at the Mannix report, I think they're making a lot more of the Rodney Billups not being brought back.
I mean, that's certainly that one surprised me. Them making changes, like Hetz leaving for move up the bench, had not surprised by that at all. Hetz is a guy that I've long thought is going to be a head coach in the NBA.
Scott
Brooks, I'd heard that he might be on the way out looking at other opportunities. That wasn't a surprise. Rodney was a surprise to me.
But it's not like the deal breaker for it. Like the way that Mannix's tweet reads is like that's like a big point of contention here on Chauncey potentially leaving. And it also makes it sound like it might be on the franchise's end too with this decision. I think it has a lot more to do with everything that you outlined with lame duck coaching year in this process where they're not going to win, and his job status moving forward shouldn't be tied to wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're saying that, which is exactly what we heard from Joe Cronin at the end of the year press conference, which was, our roster wasn't good enough this year. We have all the faith in the world in Chauncey, and then pick up the option, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of what you said. And so I understand if Chauncey's like, well, then yeah, just pick up my option for that 25-26 season and we're going to be good.
And I think that the pushback here would be from both sides would be that Billups doesn't want to go through another year. And if he does have to go through another year, he wants a guarantee essentially of being picked up on the other end of this, because you got to get paid to get kicked in the nuts.
Yeah, you do.
Like that's the deal. And so that's what's going to be really interesting about this is kind of which way this goes, because I've been under the impression that this change was not going to happen unless it went this way, where Chauncey walked away.
And this is what it seems like is Chauncey is feeling that right
all
now.
Of the stuff that I've gotten, all the calls, all the texts that I've gotten today have all been that Chauncey would be the one walking away because of the lack of extension or commitment. So whether or not that's 100% true, I don't know. That's just the intel that I've gotten today.
It feels like Chauncey Billups is also at a point where maybe they have some moves that they're going to be making this offseason. When you think about all of the landscape shifts, they're going to be really active. And a lot of the guys that were on this roster this year
might not be here.
Ain't going to be suiting up for Portland next year. And he got them to fight hard, built connections, and he does want to win. He said it. Ant said it in the end of the year press conference. Like, we want to win. Like, that's important to us. They're not going to be in that place next year. They just aren't gonna be there, and what does and this is the question that I've always had is, all right, what does more competitive look like?
Mhm.
Because I want to see more wins. But the
I don't.
franchise is looking at the 25 draft and saying, we want that.
Yeah.
We want that because there are truly transcendent talents in that draft coming up in 25.
Yeah, and the thing about this is maybe they're okay with Chauncey leaving and them going with another head coach. Maybe there's an opportunity. There continues to be a ton of smoke around Frank Vogel in Phoenix. You would think that they would have fired him by now, but there's been a bunch of noise about Kevin Durant wanting a coaching change. There was an article that came out from The Athletic the other day about how Kevin Durant felt like he wasn't utilized correctly and that, he wasn't put in the position to succeed because they went mostly pick and roll. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, you brought in the defensive-minded head coach that does really well with bigs, and then you traded away the young athletic big, and then you went and got Brad Beal. It's like, I need you to make me a pasta with this. I don't.
Could you imagine?
I don't even know. Like what's the worst with peanut butter and jelly? Like, what are you asking me to do?
Like
it
that-
doesn't make any sense. But also, Monty Williams is a coach that could get dismissed. Darvin Ham obviously already has been. I wouldn't be surprised if
Could you imagine if Chauncey ends up with the Lakers or the Suns?
the
Suns?
I wouldn't be surprised by either of those teams hiring him. Kevin Durant and Chauncey Billups played on the Team USA.
Yeah, but people that in the fire Chauncey camp here in Portland,
Oh, their minds would explode.
their minds would.
It would be exactly what I've told people.
explode.
It's about relationships, man.
Ego management that's why
That's
Phil
what
Jackson.
That's what he's good at.
But that's why Phil Jackson gave all of his guys books, whether they read them or not. He gave them books that connected to the person that they were to try and build that person up, temper egos, and he was a master of ego management. That's half the battle. I mean, the triangle offense alone wasn't what was winning games in Chicago.
Yeah. Also, it's not Phil Jackson's triangle offense. It's Tex Winter's triangle offense. Just wanted to throw that out there real quick for everybody who's like, Phil Jackson was the greatest. He was the greatest ego manager of all time. The man wrangled Dennis Rodman.
Well, I mean, we use that liberally. I mean, he did disappear.
He was
in
on the
Vegas
court.
for a while, but he did show up.
And he performed. Just saying. That stuff matters. But this is another point to pay attention to for the Portland Trail Blazers over the next week as they make a decision there after what's going to happen this Sunday, which is the NBA Draft Lottery at noon.
Bum, bum, bum.
So it's heating up here real quick as we're just a little bit more than a month away from the NBA Draft and 2 months away, actually today.
I also think that this could be it could be the right time if there is going to be a move to happen, because you would get a new coach in with 1 year of Scoot Henderson under Chauncey Billups, only 1 year in the league. Whatever this pick is going to be, especially if it's 1, 2, or 3, right? You get a brand new pick, and then you can
everybody starts fresh.
You can ease that kind of into the transition of whatever your 2025 pick is in ushering in a new era, as opposed to having, for Scoot Henderson, 2 years under Chauncey, whatever rookie they get this year having 1 year with Chauncey, and then having that clean break if that were to happen this year, and very may well be why Chauncey Billups is frustrated, is like, give me assurances I'll be here in 25, 26. And to have somebody that can usher in all three of those guys. I think that there is
which again, Chauncey
it could end up being beneficial.
It's not abnormal.
No.
And the Blazers hedging on this is not abnormal.
Yeah.
This is the business side of this that just happens when you get up against this.
They have a talent deficiency in Portland.
And whoever comes in here is going to have to deal with that.
Yep.
They're going to have a plan to deal with that. So if they make that move, if Chauncey Billups does decide to go elsewhere, then we'll kind of go down that coaching tree. I'm already hearing a couple names, but none of that stuff really matters until you start getting through the thick of it. So.
Until the other coach is gone.
Yeah. So everybody who keeps asking, look, I've got names, but none of it matters unless something changes.
Exactly.
So, coming up next, now we will dive into the New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers as they continue their renewed hatred for each other. Coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. playoff basketball that matters.
Game 1 was awesome.
It was.
I hope Game 2 lives up to what we got as a table setting there with Game 1 in MSG. But Mitchell Robinson getting hurt is big.
Definitely big. New York now only 4.5 point favorites at home, which means they are a 1.5 point favorite because at home you were a 3 point favorite historically, so you get the 1.5 point bump.
Let's go over this. What are they going to do without the 12 minutes from Mitchell Robinson?
That actually does matter because that's the only break anybody of any size gets.
Well, Isaiah Hartenstein, remember, he got in foul trouble.
Yep.
And
which
that's
means Precious
where
Achiuwa is going to be out there.
Precious Achiuwa.
I like
the
Precious.
pride of Memphis.
He was a guy who was here at Hoop Summit who at the time was a big wing
Precious.
who transitioned to playing center / big man. His favorite player was Kobe, and he liked to handle the ball and run breaks in practice. And I was like, his handle's not good enough to be doing that.
This does not sound like a Tom Thibodeau player at all.
No. But he's going to have to break the glass on old Precious and play him a few minutes just to spell some guys. And that's the thing is, if they get into foul trouble, and not only that, they're going to be run up and down the freaking floor because it's the Pacers.
Yep. This is where that tread is going to wear on,
and this
on
is
New York.
Yeah, we talked about this after Game 1. Like, I think the Knicks are going to win this series, but it may be a series of attrition. If somebody else picks up a knock or somebody else gets tired, you're going to find yourself in a difficult position if you're the Knicks because you are shorthanded. You're short Mitchell Robinson. You're short Julius Randle, who can bear the offensive burden for any period of time. Which, while they've passed that baton between DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson has an opportunity to sit second all-time in NBA history with 5 consecutive 40-point games. He's at 4 right now. He's tied with Jerry West,
Bernard
King, Michael Jordan.
And it would be a Knicks franchise record when you knock off Bernard King.
Indeed. So, and if he gets his 5th tonight, he will sit second to Jerry West, who did it 6 times in a row, which is how you become the logo.
That's pretty good. He has been outstanding. And
Jerry West, yeah, that's why he's a 3-time Hall of Famer.
Jalen Brunson has been outstanding, but it is going to be like Josh Hart's motor in the way that he's operated. Where I don't know how he rebounds the way he does, but it's been incredible to see. Like the movement in his motor just not stopping. They're actually going to play with this rotation. It'll be 7, but let's be honest, 6 guys that Tom Thibodeau trusts. 6 in the conference semifinals. Boy, but none of that I really care about heading into this game. Reggie Miller's going to be on the call for TNT.
It's staring across the court at Spike Lee.
He is going to be in Madison Square Garden for a Knicks-Pacers playoff game. I'm actually glad TNT didn't give us Reggie in the Garden for Game 1. I'm glad we're getting him in Game 2 because Knick fans are going to be hyped up to 11 for this game. They think that they are going to win the NBA title right now. Their fans are absolutely unhinged and deranged. And the fact that they got a Game 1 win the way they did, that's just going to ramp them up even more.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it even the hatred for Reggie Miller is going to be through the roof.
I hope he goes full David Stern.
And if Indiana wins this game,
oh, buddy, I hope he stands up, looks across the court, and does the choke to Spike Lee.
He won't do that because he may get murdered.
Yeah,
like he will die.
Go out on your shield, Reggie.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
I mean,
for
he
this
did it
game.
on the floor once.
I know, but there was a little bit more protection. He's like amongst the people a little bit more now. Even you're in the rich boy seats in MSG, they're still gonna come at you.
I don't know, man. Those seats are dumb expensive.
Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna put it past 50 Cent was at the last game. I'm not going to put it past 50 to deck Reggie Miller if he does that.
Or old Turtle, Jerry Ferrara.
Now, Jerry Ferrara will not be punching anybody, but
it's got to punch up.
I would love what we had.
Or Stiller or John Stewart.
Nah, Tracy Morgan. I would love to see an interaction with Tracy Morgan and Reggie.
Tyrese Maxey the bird.
See?
But Tracy's super short too.
He is very short. Maybe they all just kind of go
stand
like
to his shoulder like
little
kids.
rascals. Yeah. They
Trench
go
coat.
Yeah, and they go
Tracy Morgan
to fight
top.
Reggie Miller.
Go to hell, Reggie Miller.
I love Tracy Morgan so much. That man is hilarious.
Of all the people to get hit by a Walmart truck,
that's what hit him.
Yeah, it was Walmart.
What?
It was a massive company that he sued.
How do you not see it?
Well, they ran into him.
Oh, was he driving?
No, he was being driven.
Yeah.
Oh, I
It
thought
was
you meant like
like a
he's
little-
walking and it
Yeah,
hit
no,
him,
no,
and he was
no,
like,
no.
"It'll stop for me."
Are you too young to even know that story?
Tracy
No,
Morgan's
that
fine.
was like 8 years ago or ish, right?
Yeah,
Is that when
Tracy
that happened?
Morgan's not a big figurehead in my celebrity awareness.
Okay. Miles Turner go off tonight.
It was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah. 8. Yeah,
I was
it close enough,
16.
10
I
years
was
ago.
worried about other things,
Like getting hit by a truck while you're learning to drive.
And it,
like getting my own car and,
and it
not
was
hitting
a
others.
Walmart truck.
It was a Walmart truck, huh?
Which is why that payout was so big.
Well, I think it was going to be big anyway. I mean, he's got really good lawyers.
Can't hit someone with a car.
Miles Turner going to go off tonight, though. I mean, look, Mitchell Robinson. Now you have Precious Achua, who's going to be playing. You have got, I mean, the opportunity for Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner to really take this game over are through the roof. Through the roof.
It's going to be interesting.
Really?
It's going to be interesting.
Okay.
This is that if you're looking for that little wiggle, if you're a Pacers truther,